Hey, welcome back to part two of the Giver Marketing Summit. Whether you're watching this live or recorded, we're going to be dropping some nuggets for you as it relates to marketing, communication, media, PR, technology that supports your outreach, your ability to engage with your audience, whether you're a cause or a company doing good in the world. We're here to serve you, okay? So buckle up, get ready to take some notes. Christine Deane is going to be giving us some tips and details and training. She's got quite an interesting background. She'll share that in just a minute, but and so she'll be able to show us what we can learn about the synergy around uh, communication and connecting with others. And Christine, what is the actual name of the topic? Is it collaboration? What? Because I know you're super
Yeah,
powerful.
I'm all about the collaboration. So really talking about unlocking your synergy, right? And how to collaboration can help, boost your marketing. And so it's all tied together with relationships, and I can't help myself. That's just how we do
Awesome.
things.
Well, this will be a fun conversation, and I know the visuals will help you present, but I'm going to interrupt every once in a while and ask you
Oh, feel
questions.
free.
The those who are watching us live on streaming platforms, or if you want to make comments, if you're watching the recording, even that'll be valuable for others who will be continually watching. Okay, so make sure and make those comments, ask those questions, let us know where you're tuning in from. That's a really fun thing to know as well as we connect with you. All right, so Christine, what's your background? How did you get to do what you're doing before we get into the show and tell here?
Yeah, my background is teaching. I was a college professor. Oh, that sounds so official.
Yeah, yeah.
I coached the speech and debate team and I had a great time doing it. And then I took some time off to raise my kids. And then you have to decide, okay, now what are you going to do? All right, now I'm going to enter back into the workforce and do, I don't know. And so when my mother suggested, why don't you try credit card processing? I'm like, that seems really weird, but okay, I'll try it. And so I did, and I hated it. So part of knowing what you don't want to do is just as important as knowing what you do want to do. But I realized that I love this thing called networking and building relationships and getting to know people. And so I found I was talking to people, and they would ask a lot of questions about networking. They would ask questions about communications and marketing. And marketing is just another form of communication, really, right? So those same core principles you can kind of apply anywhere. So next thing you know, I was like, I might as well get paid for this. I'm already doing it. So created the networking diva and absolutely love what I do. I get to work with those trying to do good in the world. And so that's kind of my favorite space to play in. So people ask me, well, you've done so much for me. How can I help you? I say, introduce me to somebody who's trying to do good in the world. That'll just make my day.
Excellent. And you've sharpened your marketing skills over the years. Your communication and networking skills are superpowers that you've developed as well. And so with that, let's do some show and tell. What do you got for us today, Christine? This is
All right,
great.
we're diving in, unlocking synergy, right? How collaboration can boost your marketing efforts. When you think about collaboration and working together with other organizations, so really, when we look at collaboration, what does that mean? Who can you collaborate, right? So let's talk a little bit about collaboration opportunities. They're everywhere, and we don't really always realize it. Sometimes we're not thinking like, oh, here's an opportunity, right? How many times has an opportunity walked right by and we're like afterwards, oh, right, I should have, right, shoulda, woulda, coulda, right? So keep your eyes open for those opportunities. And some of them can be very formal collaborations. Perhaps it's an official, you've heard the terms joint ventures, right? And you have two companies that have come together in order to do something, right? And that makes it very formal, right? But you could do kind of a strategic alliance, which is kind of more of a little less formal, right? We're going to get together and we're going to work on this project together to do this great good together. And you'll see a lot of that. And don't think just because you hear these things with large corporations, don't think that you can't do this with a small business, with a solopreneurship, with your nonprofit, right? There's a lot of room for these. So it's not just for the other people in the large corporations, okay? You can form these formally partnerships, right? Who do you want to partner up with? Who do you want to work with? So there's a lot of possibilities. We see things all the time. We don't even think about it, but they're really collaborations. When you think of licensing agreements, right, or franchising, right, when you think of some of like the Ziegler organization, right, they have licensing agreements with their coaches, right, but that's a form of collaboration because we've created it here. Now we're going to let everybody else use it, right? Franchising, you can now expand your business, but you don't have to run the other one, right? Someone else is using your goodies, right? And the systems that you've put in place, right? That's a collaboration, right? Mergers and acquisitions, that's not, it's like big stuff, right? You think the big companies and doing that kind of stuff, but it happens with the smaller ones also, right? If you find somebody else that you want to work with where you go, what I'm doing works perfectly with what you're doing. If we put together, it'd be perfect, right? And so next thing you know, you can put that together. So you've got mergers and acquisitions. So there's a lot of different ways you can work with other people. So the sky's the limit. Just be open to the possibilities, right? And even within the corporations, we see corporate social responsibility initiatives. What? That's kind of a wordy way of saying the do-gooders, okay? Companies participating in things that benefit society. And you'll see that in different ways. The partnership with nonprofits. And it's not uncommon for a business to also have a nonprofit arm that complements it. For example, Veterans United, right? They've got the business side of it that does the mortgages, but then they've also got the nonprofit side of it. And the philanthropy, right? Charitable giving by individual corporations, right? So they can support those nonprofit activities. So there's a lot of different ways to collaborate. So start thinking outside the box. Okay, so what are the possibilities and how can I make that work with what I'm trying to do? Right. So whether you're wanting to do sponsorships, right, those an opportunity, or volunteering. And I know there's companies out there that let people go in and volunteer 1 day a month, right, or 1 day a quarter. They can put their energies into it. Right. So these are all collaboration opportunities. So think about, I want more collaboration in my life. What am I going to do with that? And when it comes to your business, right, you have lots of different choices. Okay, so let's look at the power of co-marketing. So now you've kind of seen, okay, I can work with these different people. We could have some fun together. Well, now let's do some co-marketing with them. Okay, now the benefits of co-marketing, right? Collaborative brand visibility. Okay, so you think about your brand. So now you've got your brand and now you're working with another company. Now you're elevating both your brands, right? Because now your brand is here and it's there and it's in front of their audience, right? And you're in front of theirs. And now you have this chance to cross-pollinate. Okay? This is where the fun begins, especially if you have similar values that are in alignment, right? So if we want to go ahead and say, okay, I want to hang out with people that I want to do business with that care about the things that I care about. So this enhances the brand, right? So you're getting in front of more people. So people are going, hey, I like them, right? And I like this person. This works, right? So look for ways to get more visibility to your brand. Could be with that, right?
Hey, real quick around the collaboration on co-branding.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a time when you don't want to co-brand with somebody? Like, how do you know when it's a really good fit or a moderately good fit or not a good fit? Like, how do you know that?
Yes, you have to take the time to get to know them, right? You really need to see, we see surface values. This is what's important to me. And then you look at what they're doing. You're like, your actions don't back up your words, right? So when you talk about, does that help you or not, right? If you co-brand with someone else and they're not representing the values that are important to your organization, right? That can really harm your brand, right? So you need to be careful with who you're going to do that co-branding with and that co-marketing, because it can really have a negative impact, right? You got to know, is this somebody that I want to work with or not? Is this somebody that's, representing what I feel comfortable with?
Okay, good.
Yeah, you got to be really careful. Absolutely. Can't just jump into it willy-nilly.
Yeah, a lot of people will look for overlap and lean into that. And then there's other people that will run away from anything that smells or looks like it's going to have any kind of overlap. And it's like, well, I guess it depends on where you are in your business and what you're trying to accomplish. And you only have so much time on your hands. But if you're confident in what you do, it seems to me like what you're sharing is a really good idea.
Yeah, one of the marketing projects I worked on last Christmas was a giveaway for it was Christian influencers, and each one of them contributed a journal, a book, different opportunities, right? And did a giveaway. And so they weren't in competition. They were all working together, pushing out the marketing for this project together. They generated the leads together and then used them for their own marketing needs together. All right. So could they be in competition? Well, sure. This person had a journal and that one had a journal and that one had a devotional, right? It's the mindset, right? So if you have that scarcity mindset of, oh no, it's competition, it makes it really hard to do any kind of collaboration.
Yeah, we all want to feel special and unique, and we are to some extent, but this idea of working together and synergy, like you said earlier, is pretty powerful. And if you can get over yourself a little bit, then usually you find blessing on the other end. So great point, Christine. Thank you.
Absolutely. One of the benefits also of co-marketing is sharing the resources and the expertise, right? I bring my peanut butter and you bring your chocolate and we have Reese's peanut butter cups, right? I mean, so everybody brings their best to the table, right? And you can share those resources so that resources can go a little bit further, right? Instead of spending this amount on ads, now you've got this much on ads, right? Or maybe you've got this many people putting effort. So if you're doing it all yourself, right now, this other company can handle certain parts of it, right? Mm-hmm. So being able to share those resources really can help. And in fact, since everybody has unique experiences that they're bringing to the table, they have a different viewpoint, right? So sometimes they can come up with something that you haven't done before, right? So it makes it nice to be able to work together and share. Other thing is the data that you're bringing in on this, right? The idea is everybody gets access to it afterwards, whatever it is that you're doing, so you can see what works, what doesn't work, right? That larger pool, whether it's a larger pool of leads, however you're doing it for your business, right? So you want to be able to look at those and see what's working. You get to learn from each other, right? So really being able to work in, and everything needs to be data driven now with marketing. I mean, you can just throw it against the wall and hope that the spaghetti sticks, but it's better when you've got data so you know what you're doing and why, right? So just some ideas on how you can work in that space of collaboration and how you can work together. So some examples of successful collaborations, and there's a ton of them out here, but I'm just going to bring up some of my favorites. Now, The Great Discovery is one of my favorite organizations, and they are gathering speakers, authors, coaches, and they can have a spot to put their courses online, okay? Now, Course Buddy comes along. Course Buddy says, I have AI software that will help make your people make their life so much easier, right? So how about if I bring some of this into you and you can bring it out to your people, and then we both get to do well together, right? I'm helping your people, you're helping me. And so it works together. So these two collaborated, and now they have a special add-on to the Juniors Club that includes the Course Buddy stuff, right? So they brought in two companies to work together on this project, right? So they're doing it together to help everybody in the organization. So there's a lot of opportunities. When you start opening up your eyes to possibilities, you can say, okay, I think my solution would be great if I, worked with them. It's more than just hiring somebody. It's a level of collaboration that's much deeper than that. It's not just hiring somebody to do something, right? So that's one of my favorite ones. Another one would be, I did this one. This was a webinar. Okay, so I teamed up with Rosie Batista, who does card decks. If you're familiar with flashcards, right? This is your next level fancy flashcards. And so she does flashcards. I work with a lot of coaches. It just made sense, bring those authors, coaches, right? So we did a co-hosted webinar, right? So they know that they can come to her to do the cards to help getting people to go with their books, or to help people reinforce the information from their books or their webinars that they've done or classes that they've done, right? There's a lot of different ways you can use that. Well, my audience loves that kind of stuff, right? That works hand in hand with what I do. So when we did this co-hosted webinar, we brought in her people, we brought in my people, right? And it helped for everybody. She had people that wanted to take her class or to have card decks made, and I had people that wanted coaching, right? Marketing coaching. So it worked out really well. So we both brought in business through that collaboration. So these are like one-off projects that you can do, or you can really tighten in and build your businesses around each other and all the different ways you can explore. So if you're open to the possibilities, you can make magic happen. Now, on this one, I have to say, J.R. Smith is a vice president of the Veterans Ranch. It's a nonprofit. And he's a hoot. And I got to tell you, he is one of the most collaborative people I know. He just, loves meeting people, and he uses the collaboration concept to the ultimate extreme, right? So right now he's currently doing something with NASCAR. Okay, so if you sponsor us, now we'll get you on the NASCAR, right? So you get more visibility in front of all the TV fans, right? All that kind of stuff. He's done stuff with the rodeo. I remember we had a rodeo, and they reached out and they said, hey, we need veterans to hold the flag up in the ceremony in the beginning. We would gladly give them free tickets to come do this, right? Absolutely. Let's gather them up, right? So different kinds of collaborations where we're helping each other. They had a need. They needed veterans for the special veterans event, right? We had those veterans. They got the opportunity to attend an event for free, right? So collaboration, once again, there's ways to everybody gets the benefit. And that's really what the whole point is. A good collaboration should be something that benefits both sides. Okay, so always keep that in mind. What can I do? What can I offer? And what am I looking for? Right. And they also teamed up with the Disability Channel, and we're doing a show on the Disability Channel for a while. So, I mean, there's just so many opportunities. So start thinking in that mindset, right? What can I do to collaborate, and who do I want to collaborate with?
I've noticed a pattern, Christine, where when you think in terms of leads, you can get good results. When you think in terms of power partners, you can get exponentially more results. And I know you're great at this. And so just to kind of hear your thoughts on that, or if you have something that you're going to be sharing on that, I really have been learning a lot about that from you.
Right. Power Partners is a much deeper level than just a one-off project.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, okay, well, we did that. That was nice. We did this for this purpose, and we got these leads, but we're moving on now. Right. Bye-bye now. If you want to really maximize it, though, you want a synergistic experience where you're both constantly in each other's space and looking for ways to work together to bring out the best in both. Right. And that's your real big partnerships. Right. So you got to change the mindset. Okay. We've gone out of the scarcity mindset into a collaborative mindset, right? And start thinking about, okay, what can I do for marketing initiatives that are collaborative? So some of the options are, right? You want to start thinking, okay, who do I want to develop a strategic partnership with? Okay. So you have to identify the brands and the peoples and the companies, right? Maybe nonprofits. Who shares those similar values with you, right? Who has the same kind of target audience, right? So you have to figure out who it is that really makes sense for you to work with. And that's really important. You have to take some time and actually do some research and look into them. Are they, when you look at their branding, does it feel like something that you could work with? Or does it feel like something you want to step away from and it feels icky, right? Because it doesn't align with your values. So you really have to think about it. And then when you have the conversations with them, wanted to take a chance to, opportunity to get to know you a little bit better and see if we could find some opportunities to work together. A lot of people will say that, but they don't mean it, and they end up just giving you a pitch. Right. So there's a difference. So if you really are coming in with the idea of collaborating, think about, what can I bring to the table for them? What can I offer that
I
you
would say power partners probably need to be able to pitch you. Like tell others about you, like pitch your service to somebody else.
Absolutely. Your power partners should know enough about you that they could literally pitch for you. If you couldn't get your mic to work and you couldn't speak, they're like, oh, I got you. Don't worry. And they should be able to just say exactly what you would have said. And you're like, wow, that was even better than I would have said it. Right. Those are your power partners. Right.
Think about a few organizations I've ran across over the years where I'm like, you got to talk to Christine Deane. Like, she can help with setting up a lot of your automations, making sure you get some visuals going in the right direction. She can really rock it when it comes to your marketing strategy. She can build a plan with you. She can hold your hand to success at that next level you want to go to. And especially when it comes to certain types of organizations that have to do with veterans or causes or companies doing good, you're going to naturally want to work with Christine because of the language she tends to use. And some of it's even on this visuals here. And so just to be able to say that without having to think about it too hard, like, this is what she does. Like, this is what she's good at. This is what I've seen her work. We've worked on projects together, like multiple projects. So it's super interesting when you're able to kind of speak on behalf of somebody else. You get 5 or 10 of those power partners going, or strategic partners going, watch out. You're asking for some good stuff to happen.
Absolutely. And the strategic partnerships, it's a different kind. You have the power partners, which you're looking out for each other and sending business each other's way. But when it comes into strategic partner and developing that, what's that look like? And if you're going to co-market and co-brand something, right? We're talking about flyers with both your brands on it, right? I mean, so that's a whole different level of really tightening in. And for me, marketing is so much more than just your standard marketing. To me, if you're not bringing in the strategic partnerships and building the relationships as an intentional part of that, then you're not my tribe. That's just, I'm just straight up honest. It's about building relationships. So really finding those right strategic partnerships is really important. So that's a big deal for me. When we look at that, right, the part of identifying which brands would go well with yours, finding those partners, right, you really need to take a look at their market. Is it in alignment? Is their customer demographics right? Is the preferences right? Right? Purchasing behaviors. So you really want something that's very closely aligned with what you're looking for and with your business, because the closer the alignment, the better their customers are going to respond to your messages and vice versa. So think about your value proposition. What are you bringing to the table and what can they bring to the table? How can you work together? And you have to be careful with establishing the rules on that. What do the rules look like? Because people might have different expectations. So it's always better to talk about it and establish what those guidelines are rather than assume that the other person knows, because clear expectations solves a lot of problems in most of your relationships, especially in collaborations. So when you go into a partnership like this or collaboration partner, right? Clear objective, right? Make sure everything's in alignment. Make sure everybody's on the same page, because right there, you could start off with the hot mess. Okay. So you really want to make sure that the goals are clear. Everybody's got the same goals in mind, because not everybody does, right? Somebody might be like, I want to do lead gen, and the other person's going, I just want to be friendly and I want to do awareness. I just want them to know who I am, right? So make sure you have clear objectives so you're working towards the same goal, right? And the communication channels, how are you going to talk? How often are you going to talk? Where are you going to talk? What's your preferred method? Just laying down the basics like that can solve a lot of problems before they even start. Right? And then let alone the inclusive decision making, right? When one side of the partnership makes decisions and like, oh yeah, I already made that decision. Oops. Right. That doesn't work real well in your intimate relationships and your marriages. It doesn't work well with your business partners either. Right. So communicating with someone and having the other person be part of those decision-making processes has a big impact. And I've seen this work really well when you put the right systems in place. And I've also seen it go really bad because the expectations weren't clear and the other party wasn't involved in the decision-making process. And by the end, they just felt frustrated. They thought they were coming into a situation to be a partner in something. And instead, they ended up being a sponsor. So they had 5 minutes to talk at the whole event. And they're like, I just spent thousands of dollars and I got to talk for 5 minutes. This is not what I meant when you asked me to partner with you on this, right? So you have to be very clear ahead of time of what the expectations are, because that left some really bad feelings amongst people. And there goes that relationship, right out the window. So you got to make sure everybody knows what's going on. So important. Right. So part of measuring and optimizing your co-marketing efforts, you really need to look at the metrics. Look at the numbers. Did it work? Did you get the results you were looking for? What do you need to fix and change? If there's something broken in that process, probably you need to go back and fix it and set it better for the next event, right? But you really need to go in and take a look at those metrics, because we can say, oh, let's do this together. That's nice. That's warm. That's fuzzy. But did you accomplish anything? Did you get any of your goals? If the goal was to, what's the ROI on this? Was it worth it? Was it worth the investment? Was it worth the time? Right. So really, you need to be looking at your metrics in there. You can't just do it just because it's fun. It's got to be productive also. Otherwise, why bother? So some of the common obstacles you're going to need to look out for, like we mentioned, right? Make sure the roles are in alignment, right? Make sure is that a good representation of your brand to be associated with them, like we talked about earlier, Timothy, right? What's the risk management? What do you need to be aware of going into this? Do your research on who you're going to partner with. You need to be very careful, right? Resource allocations, right? Who's paying for what? Who's going to use the resources? I've got the location we can host at. You've got the, you're going to run the ads, whatever it is, right? Make sure you got it listed out exactly and who's doing what and who's responsible for what. Because there's nothing worse than going into any kind of partnership and one person feels taken advantage of. And a lot of times what happens is they both end up feeling taken advantage of. And that comes back to clear communication. Right? As long as you're open, honest, transparent, it makes a world of difference walking into any of these. Right? So need to have a method. Okay, if we don't agree about something, what can we do? Okay, so we need to plan for that. So I think we're doing really well. I look at all this. My goodness. If you're looking for collaboration opportunities and you're wanting to know how can I do that? Who should I partner with? What kind of qualities am I looking for? Reach out to me. Okay, go ahead and scan that QR code, book on my calendar, and let's talk about collaborations. Right? If that's going to be an important part of your marketing moving forward, let's talk about it. Let's explore the possibilities.
One thing about working with Christine is you'll get a lot of value on the front end, more value in the middle, and more value along the way than you would with somebody else in the marketing, communication, media space, generally speaking. And so if you book that time, you won't regret it. You'll at least make a friend in the space so you can run ideas past her. Don't abuse her time, but definitely take advantage of the time she allows for you to have. And it should be a win-win for everybody. She counts it a privilege to serve. She's not there to take advantage of people. In fact, I encourage people to pay her more than generally is asked for. And so she is a real quality conversation you want to have, especially if you're starting a new project, a new quarter, or a new venture. You want to take that and really start put some rocket fuel in that, and you want her right by your side. So go to the networkingdiva.com/book, her website /book, the networkingdiva.com/book, and you should be able, or take a picture or a screenshot of this QR code here, and that'll remind you of who you can connect with in order to form better power partnerships, to get your marketing, communication, media strategy dialed in, and just kind of take it to that next level, and then go into those strategic partnerships like she's talking about. She'll guide you through all that. Who knows? She might even become one of your strategic partnerships if you book an appointment. So
it's been known to happen.
Been known to happen, and that's why we're here today, right, Christine? We started working together on a few things, and then the strategic partnerships started aligning. Your company started really taking off, and then our network started growing. And you're like, I want to be more involved. Like, let's go, let's do this. And your connection with different other organizations, you're kind of like a liaison or an ambassador that kind of connects different, not only people together, but organizations together, as you could see on the screen. So that's when you know you're going to the pro level, when you're starting to connect organizations with organizations. That's a whole different game. So anyway, hey, Christine, thank you so much for sharing with us how to actually think about and take action on strategic partnerships and synergies that will make a difference in your business. I think it's one of the fastest ways to 10x your company, is to go into those channel partnerships, strategic partnerships, even power partnerships, to kind of get your feet wet and just kind of get going. So really appreciate you doing that today. It's an underutilized or under-leveraged strategy that people put time into. Sometimes they'll think about it and like try to form something really quickly, but an actual strategy on a quarterly basis and measuring that and how it's going. Good. Hey, we have Tim Palmer next on the docket, Christine. Are you excited?
Oh, I am so excited. I adore Tim. Tim is amazing. We need to bring him on the screen. Tim, are you ready? Here you
Bring it.
coming.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Yeah. Yeah. He got the memo. We're matching backgrounds. No, actually his background in his office was inspiration for me grabbing something that I could throw up. And
Really?
yeah, it was I saw yours and then another friend of mine's as well. I'm like, you know what? I like the horizontal. So, Christine's got the vertical. Did I say it right? Yeah, vertical and then the horizontal. Like, I don't know if I don't know. But anyway, I just appreciate working with you. We're working on several projects together as well. It's nice having friends that are able to present something and go, oh yeah, we're doing that with a client, or oh yeah, we're doing that with so and so, or oh yeah, you're helping us with that, or those kind of things. So really, really appreciate that. And you're going to be sharing what with us today? Some SEO special sauce, or what? What are you going to do?
Yeah, I have a readiness checklist for 2025 for local SEO. And I just wanted to, I loved hearing what Christine said. She and I have collaborated on some things. You and I have collaborated. Like, that's been one of the greatest things here of the Giver Marketing Network, is just the level that I collaborate with certain individuals. I've even kind of mentioned I do a lot of collaboration with Joel Snyder, and I mentioned to him a couple weeks ago, like, my business wouldn't be where it is without Joel, right? And I could say a lot of that about you too also, but he and I have just kind of taken that collaboration to another level. And you mentioned the best way to 10x your business is with collaborations. Creating the right power partners that can line up in just the right way has definitely done that for me.
Come on, there's a testimony built right in, Christine
Absolutely.
Deane. All right, so Tim, the question that we have to ask, because people want to know, everybody's wanting to know, how did you get to do what you're doing? Like, what's the background story? Like, what's the origin story? Like, how did you even start doing this kind of thing? You've helped search engine optimization for, multiple projects that I'm connected with in some way, shape, or form. And your work is really good. So, like, how did you even get into this?
No, I appreciate that, Timothy. And really, it goes back in time. Um, eh, Pizza ovens is always my answer to that question, right? It all started off, of course, it started with food. If anyone knows me, right?
Yeah.
It started off with food. But my brother and I, we decided we wanted to do a side hustle back 5-6 years ago. We built a website. We were selling pizza ovens, and we had to learn a lot about websites and the things, how to communicate with Google on what we're about, what we're trying to do, and how to show that we're different. We're adding more value to the community than just what everyone else is doing. So that was what we're doing, and those are the lessons that we learned. And when I decided I wanted to kind of go off and do my own business, while I still had that on the side, I knew I wanted to make more of an impact on people. I wanted to impact families and business owners. My dad was an entrepreneur, had a tractor business years ago. My brother's an entrepreneur. Like, I wanted to help business owners who serve a local community, right? I wanted them to be able to get found more often, find the good guys and help the good guys win, is really kind of how I sum it up.
Okay. All right. So you got you got kind of that entrepreneurship DNA in your family.
Right.
You cut your teeth on pizza ovens of all things, and you learned along the way, and then now you're helping others with this visibility problem. Like, we need your company or organization to not be the best kept secret in town. Like, you need to be coming up when people search for you. This needs to happen. Do we have any visuals today, or do you want to go through okay, go ahead and push present and kind of bring that up, and we'll make sure and get that on the screen here in just a second.
Okay. I'm making sure I have the right one showing.
Excellent.
Looks like it's right here.
Awesome.
Is that coming up all right?
Yep, it's coming up great. We're going to bring it up on the screen. Excellent. So you can go ahead and flip through those. Show us, do some show and tell, man. Let us know what we need to know for not only 2025, but beyond. Because I know your checklists are pretty timeless. Like, they have certain elements in them that are pretty awesome what do they say? Get brilliant at the basics. Like if you don't do that, like what are we talking about here? So tell us what we need to know in 2025 and beyond.
And perfect. So I'm going to hit on a couple points,
Mhm.
right? I'm going to hit on a couple points here, and the reason, 2025, like there are things that changed in 2024 that you
Mhm.
have to be ready for. So we it's updated, right? 2025 updated. And
Sure.
I did want to share this if I don't mind. You mentioned kind of how to get into this. Like
Mhm.
it's thinking about my family, and every business owner has a story, right? They have
Mhm.
a family just like mine, and mine is a family business where
Mhm.
down here now, my two daughters, Kenna, Katrina, these two daughters, they work for me. They're part of the Maxify marketing team,
Mhm.
right? So it's, for me, it's a family business where we're helping other business owners just like me be able to build up their business. So there's more to it than just, we're trying to make money. I know that when I'm successful, people are taking care of their families. I love it, especially when they're telling me they're building. I've had a number of people lately are like, yes, I'm trying to get my business to the point where I can add my son or my daughter to work for me. And those are my favorite stories. And to me, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, the fan biz. I like it.
Yeah, no, I love it. And it's made things so much more enjoyable. Like, going to work every day, working with my daughters, like it's just so much fun.
Mhm.
So the focus today is I'm going to put in three areas. And I've
Mhm.
kind of categorized my checklist into these three areas. The Google double check is what's changed. What's changed about Google? What's changed about you?
Mhm.
And, there's another surprise in there also. Optimize for Google ranking. This is just the normal things that people should take a look at, make sure they've done everything. And it's kind of just make sure you've answered all the questions that you can. It's pretty easy. The third one is nurture your leads garden. Like nurture the
Okay.
garden that brings you leads. So those are
Mhm.
the three areas that I broke down, and I'm just gonna pull out kind of the biggest highlights from each of those three sections. Obviously, not going to go through the whole thing. That's where people can download my checklist, and they can do,
Oh,
use
that's
it
right.
use
You
it as
have a
needed.
checklist for everybody at the
Right.
end. So if
Hmm.
they hold on to the end of your presentation, they'll be able to get that. Okay.
Got to
Good.
hold on to the end. I'm not going to give it to you yet.
All right. Let's go.
All right. So the Google double check, and there's three reasons why. Google adds new sections of fields,
Mhm.
right? That you may have data that's incomplete or that's outdated, whether you changed or anything like that. And the other one, this is kind of the one I'm going to share one big thing that came up in 2024: scammers and malicious changes to your Google Business Profile,
Mhm.
right?
So we're talking
So
about Google Business Profile right now is like the
yeah,
foundation or
and
the
really everything we're doing kind of with the local SEO, the foundation of local SEO is the Google Business Profile. Your
okay.
website is a big part of it also, but we're focusing on the Google Business Profile because, I mean, frankly, what does Google care about more, right? They don't care about your website. If your website went away, they've got a million to replace it,
Okay.
right?
Thanks.
The Google Business Profile is a Google property. That's what they really care about.
Got it.
All right, so going through this in the Google Business Profile, all of a sudden it is freezing up. Let's see here. There we go. All right, there are new sections and fields that get added to your Google Business Profile regularly, right?
Mhm.
Whenever they decide it needs. And the biggest new one, it still says new next to social profiles, trying to draw people's attention to this. Part of this is because there's so much data out there, I believe, in the social media, right? There's so much data out there. What they've done now is make it easy for you to connect your Facebook, your LinkedIn, your Twitter, your YouTube, your uh, TikTok for however long it might be around. But you can connect all of these, and even LinkedIn, you can connect all of these to your Google Business Profile. And we know that Google's looking in the background and seeing what you're doing and whether or not you're doing something. So one of the main factors for Google when it comes to ranking is pervasive. That's one of the
Now
key
you just said
words.
ranking. Some
Yeah,
people like, what does that mean? Like, how does that help me as a business owner or a community nonprofit leader? Like, tell me
yeah.
where are we going with this?
Great question. Great question. So the Google Business Profile is there. We all go out there. Uh, we do a search. We try to find a local business, whether
Mhm.
it's a dentist or a restaurant or an attorney or a plumber,
Mhm.
right? We're trying to go out there and find we go out and find someone. When we see a section that is the maps, the map section of a Google search,
Yeah.
right? That is what's showing there, and it shows your reviews and shows information about your business, your phone number, address. That is your Google business profile. So it's one of the most, if you're trying to get new clients online and they're searching for you locally, the Google business profile is the number one, or organic, meaning you don't have to pay for pay per click, right? It's not an advertiser. You're not paying for calls or paying for clicks. It's the number one organic way to attract people, to get to put yourself out there and get found and get selected by your perfect clients.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay. So socials are now tied in to this, is it called a knowledge panel or is it called a Google
Yeah,
business profile?
really, for most people, I just talk about that's it is called the knowledge panel, right? But it's just how it's displayed on your Google business profile.
Okay.
And not only that, not only is it a ranking factor so that you show up near the top, right? When people are searching, but we've seen evidence that Google's toying around with views where they're pulling posts from Facebook or from Instagram. They're pulling social media posts into that Google business profile. So they're displaying your social media in their property. That's huge.
Interesting.
Because we believe that Google will continue to do more of this. And even if they don't show more from these other the social media profiles in their Google business profile, we know at least they're going out there and looking, are you active on these profiles, right?
Okay.
Are you spreading the word everywhere, or is it just you're just doing, you have a Google business profile and that's all that you're doing? Like, are you active in the community as a whole? Are you educating? Are you meaningful? Are you relevant? Right? That's a huge part of what Google's trying to do, is make sure that you're relevant and you're pervasive throughout the community, trying to help uplift everybody, trying to get your name out there and add value to the community.
Makes sense. So for sake of time, what else do we need to know that's kind of new, fresh, coming down the
All
pipe?
right. One of the things is just kind of go in there. You might have change hours. I mean, sometimes people put crazy hours and they're always changing. The thing they forget is their Google business profile. And
Got it. Yeah.
hours is one of those things. Like, if you're not sure, check your hours, because this is also new. It was actually end of 2023, like right at the end, butting up to 2024. But if your office is closed, if it shows as closed, like if you're not closed at 2 p.m., but you say 2 p.m., Google will actually basically stop showing you after you close.
So we don't really care much about 2023, 2024 right now. What do we need to know about right now?
So the point is, make sure that if you made any changes in 2024, you make those corrections now so that 2025 is ready to go. And if you think, hey, you know what, if I could stay an hour later than my competition and people are searching during that hour, you might want to think about opening that extra hour for 2025.
Okay. Right? If you're able to receive a phone call or somebody is physically present in your location.
Exactly. Most important thing is have a good customer experience. You don't want to make those changes just for that. If it's going to make a bad customer experience, customer comes first.
Yeah, if it makes sense. Okay, gotcha.
All right. So this is what I was kind of talking about. This is something kind of that scammers were doing to destroy their competition in order to kind of make themselves go up higher, right? Google has a feature, suggest and edit. Unfortunately, Google doesn't ask business owners, like, is this correct? Like, they'll just kind of go, oh, do we want to do it or not? And one of those things, one of the most popular, so someone can basically go in and suggest and edit. There's a whole bunch of things that they can change. One of the most popular things that came on the scene in 2024, which you need to make sure that you have it, you go in there and check it, is when you're searching and you see a map, like up in this section, it'll show what Google shows, where Google shows you are. Make sure it is actually what your address is. So in this section where it shows the map, your PIN, so Google has a PIN.
Mhm.
it needs to be exactly where your address is. Because I've had clients where someone has gone in, suggested that pin to be moved over a few blocks or
Uh-huh.
to a different city, and all of a sudden it's hurt your ranking. You're no longer visible in the area you want to be visible in, and it's really hurt it. And then
Oh
when
yeah,
people,
that's what happened with that one client we were working with
yes,
together, and then you went back and fixed it, and then somebody else tried to change it again, and thank God you're the one managing it because we just keep fixing it, and it seems to be okay most of the time because you're on it. But if you're not monitoring this, there is a chance that somebody can mess with your business.
there is. And in fact, that same client you're talking about, in November, it got switched again, and
Mhm.
twice in December. But what I've done is, there are services that have popped up with this, and they now monitor changes like that because Google doesn't tell you. Google didn't tell them. And so what I do is a standard practice now for all of my clients. I subscribe them to these services. So if anything gets changed on the Google Business Profile, I know about it. So if someone tries changing the phone number, which, like, for certain industries like hotels, that became a huge issue.
Wow, big
Um,
deal.
Right?
Wow.
Can you imagine, someone changes the website to something else or a phone number, and now it's not going to the right place. And it's not even necessarily they're trying to get it to go to them. They're just trying not to get it. They're just trying to get it to not go to you. So this one is huge. It's something
Nasty,
where you will never
nasty.
know someone did something super nasty. So it's incredibly important. If you take nothing away from it, this is super important. And like I said, this is something I do for all my clients. I'll be happy to share if anyone reaches out to me, kind of what tools I like to use
Okay,
for that.
good.
But it is a huge thing because you didn't have to make a change. Someone else made it for you. Google just didn't tell you.
All right, we got time for one or two more tips. What do you got?
All right. So optimize for Google rankings. Primary category. I wanted to point this out. Choose your best primary category. So there's categories. You can do as many categories that are relevant to your
Sure.
Google Business Profile. The
Yep.
thing is, are you a lawyer or law firm? Right? That's not really even the question because those are basically the same thing. I'm just using this as an example because there's so many with
Right.
certain types of businesses. There's tons of different ways that you could designate yourself, and the whatever you pick as your most important is the most important. That's one of the top ranking factors. So even if an attorney, for example, does multiple things, it's important for them to choose what leads do you want the most from Google. Make that primary.
So if I'm hearing you right, pick the right category as your primary.
Hmm.
And if I'm hearing everything today, if I'm putting it all together, don't just pick what you would search for, pick what
Right.
your clients would search for.
Right.
As
What
long as
do
it's
you want?
accurate, right?
Yeah. What do you want people to find you for more than anything? Right. And
And it's
that's
not
where,
just but again, it's not just what because you're in the business. It's
yeah.
not what you would search for. It's what your clients would be searching for as the primary language set and title for your business, correct?
Well, let's take, for example, estate planning attorney. An estate planning attorney may also do estate litigation. They may do elder law. They may do
Sure.
family law. Like, but if they're like, I more than anything, I'm a estate planning attorney. The category should be estate planning attorney because I can't type my own words. I have to pick from a list of Google, right? Google has a list, and these are all from Google's list. So I need to pick the one that I want to be most likely to be found for. Like if I only got found for one, that's what I want to be found for. But I can still put anything else that's relevant to my business or practice. I can still put it as secondary categories. I just need to choose which one is the primary because that's the most important.
Yeah, I get that part. I'm just
Yeah.
making it really clear. Like,
Yeah.
as professionals, let's say I'm an attorney, I tend to use certain industry jargon or language to
Yep.
describe myself, and it may or may not be the best move on Google. You have to really think through that. Talk to Tim Palmer, talk
Yeah.
to different people, to run it by family members that maybe aren't in your industry. Make sure that you're getting as many people getting to your phone, your email, your front door as
Website.
possible, your website as possible, leveraging common sense, not just industry jargon.
Mhm.
Like make sure it actually makes sense for the people searching for you, right? Am I saying
Yes.
that okay?
And my checklist even has some other things like these are the categories, but there's there's other things or services and products in there that you can use to really dial into how people would search for you, the things that they would say, using the estate planning, like lawyer for wills and trusts, or even just trust or will,
Okay.
living trust, living will. We can tie all those things to the categories with services and products
Yeah.
and updates. So that's where the checklist has all of those finer details. But
But
if
you're
you're
saying just
using
get a
one,
primary one. Make
the
sure.
primary one, pick from the list that's relevant to your business that Google has, everything that they have available. Pick the one that's most relevant and specific if possible, because that specific is super important. Because if I just say law firm and I have estate planning attorney as secondary, right? When someone does search for an estate planning attorney or a will or a trust, right? Am I as likely to be found because it's a secondary thing for me as opposed to someone else where it's their primary?
All right, we got time for one more tip.
All right. Oh, there's so much fun stuff in here we're going to miss. But nurturing your leads, I have to talk about reviews, and there's three
Sure.
things related to it, right?
Well,
The
here's
number
the tip.
one thing.
Get
Yeah.
reviews. Like that's
Get
the
reviews,
tip. That's it, right?
It's the number one thing you could do to nurture your business, your profile every day, your leads garden, as I was calling it, right? So tip one, so it's kind of broke up into three. Get reviews, but really it's a matter of you have to ask for them. You're never going to get them if you don't. Well,
Sure.
I guess you will get them if you want to ask for them. But automate. I know you were talking to Christine about this. Automate your processes. Automate the initial and follow-up requests for reviews.
Of course.
And the following one, this is the lesser known secret. Respond to every review.
Yeah.
And a bonus tip inside of my checklist, I have another QR code inside the checklist to how to use AI, a guide. Actually, Christine even helped me kind of dial in the guide and make it even better than what I had before, right? But that guide is there to help people with what's the formula for a good response to review, because you're talking to the next people. It's a sales tool to talk to the next people that see your review, much more than it is just just to respond. You don't want to say thank you, thank you, Timothy, for leaving a review. No. You want to talk. You want to use it as a sales tool for the next people. I have a guide inside of the checklist that allow people to what's the formula, and even what are the AI prompts to help you follow the formula.
Show us this checklist, man. We got to land the plane.
I can't show the checklist, but I have the link to it. And
come on, there it is. Okay, good.
All right.
So ladies and gentlemen,
there, make a copy. You got the checklist for yourself.
Reach out to Tim Palmer on social media, email him, message him on that phone number there. But more importantly, take a picture of this, screenshot this, get to his checklist, like grab that resource. Ultimately, when it comes down to it, I've literally seen where the work that Tim Palmer has done and a few others have generated millions of dollars from my particular clients. Okay. So I know for sure some of the tips that you've seen here work because we put them into place as a part of a team effort with Tim Palmer. So I want to let you know that this is not theory. This is actually like what you need to do right now and moving forward. And a lot of what he talked about today isn't going to change much. So you got to establish it now. It's not like they're going to just pull it out or delete it or remove these features. They might put more guardrails or something, but you need to input your data so it's correct so that those that are searching for you can actually find you. Isn't that what you want in your business or nonprofit? You want people to be able to find you when they're looking for you, right? So let's not be the best kept secret in town or in your region or in your industry. Do what Tim Palmer said today. Right now, take a picture of this and reach out to him, and you should be able to be cooking with amazing tips from him today. So thank you for that, Tim Palmer. Any other thoughts or questions, Christine, come to your mind, or anything coming in from the comments? We want to make sure that we're already getting comments coming in, but we want to make sure that everybody gets his checklist. So
yeah, we just dropped the link to the checklist is in the chat. So go ahead, click on that, open it up, save a copy. It's wonderful information we got going.
Yep. And they can also reach you at maxify.pro. If for some reason their device isn't working or they're not able to get to that, they can always ask you directly for that.
Absolutely.
Just mention Giver and the checklist. I need the Giver checklist. Come on.
That's all you need.
All right. Well, good. Well, thank you again, Tim. And
Thank you
I
for
know
having
you.
me.
I know you had a little bit more for us today, but if people reach out to you, they can get the rest of the goodies that you're going to present today.
It's
So
all on the checklist.
come on.
A whole bunch of bonus tips along the way.
All right. Good. Well, thank you again, Tim. Let's go. Talk to you
Let's
soon.
go.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate you, Christine. We are moving here. This is good. Moving with Maxify. Yeah, that was good. All right. So we have, I think, Frank. Is it Frank that's up next?
Frank is up next. Absolutely.
All right. Let's go, Frank. Let's go. All right.
Hey,
Cool.
I don't know why I'm so dark. I have a very bright light shining at me.
Might be a bandwidth issue. If we have any issues, we'll just move on to somebody else's presentation, and we'll come back to you, Frank. So don't worry too much about it. But when it comes right down to it, everybody wants to hear a little bit about your background so that they know who they're listening to. So, Frank, what's your story? How did you get to do what you're doing?
Well, I am launching a new business, in part based on the work that I have done with you and Christine here in the Giver Marketing Network, partially based on a long career in many, many different fields. So
Okay.
I have been thinking about how to put these weird talents to use, and I've created a new business called Organization Renovation. The idea for it is that we all have blind spots. We all have systems in our businesses that worked when the business was smaller and doesn't work as well now, that we don't even recognize isn't working as well because we're living with it. We have biases and opinions and practices that worked well in the past that don't necessarily fit the current environment.
Okay. Tell us, how did you get into that space? Like, what's the story that got you even interested in this?
Well, it's 40 years ago. I worked for a company called Creative Output, where the founder was an Israeli scientist, and he came to business with a scientific mentality, and he kept seeing things that didn't make sense to him, and he'd ask why. And sometimes they would explain it to him in ways that made sense to him, and sometimes when they explained it, they didn't make sense, and he could say they didn't make sense. And it wasn't a very good marketing tactic when you tell people that what they're doing doesn't make sense. But he educated a whole bunch of people into a different way of looking at it. So his foundational principle was there are constraints in every business. If you know what the constraints are and you manage those constraints, we're going to do much better than if you're managing things that are less constrained, that aren't as important, that if you don't know where the constraints are, you're going to spend a lot of time and energy doing things that won't work.
Okay.
And
so you learned from this gentleman around, I think you called it the theory of constraint back in the day.
The theory of constraints. The man who came up with it is the late Dr. Ellie Goldratt.
Okay.
And he's the author of many books, all of which are interesting. And
that brought you to what you're doing today. Is that right?
That brought me to what I'm doing today.
Excellent. Excellent. So what kind of visuals do you have for us? Maybe I'll bring them up on screen. Is this the right visual that we have for us today?
Right,
yeah.
one.
All right.
Yes. So we can't talk about all theories of constraints, but we can talk about a specific application.
Sure.
Customer service is usually treated as an unfortunate expense. They measure customer service reps by the number of calls they make, which incentivizes them to get people off the phone rather than solving their problems. They save money with chatbots that annoy us instead of helping us. And this is something that needs to be re-examined. Some companies do it very well. All too many companies do it terribly, and everywhere in between. So that's what we're going to talk about.
What I'm hearing you say is whether you're using a lot of technology or a little bit of technology, customer service can be evaluated through this theory of constraint, like model. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, to some degree.
Okay. Cool.
So we've all experienced terrible customer service. We've been on hold forever. We've had reps more interested in getting us off the phone than solving our problems. We've had to cope with chatbots that can't answer our questions and make it hard for us to get to a human being.
True.
And this is a constraint, a self-inflicted constraint on your marketing, because unhappy customers leave.
Mm-hmm.
Unhappy customers tell their friends. Unhappy customers now give us bad reviews on social media.
Well said.
And these things reduce the effectiveness of the rest of our marketing. So this is a self-inflicted injury in many, many companies. And it's solvable. The upside of good customer service: happy customers, recurring revenue, upsells, referrals, more revenue, more profit, less headaches for your customers and for your business. So the less obvious upside is that you learn about your customers. If you are paying attention to them, if they have a problem, this is a wonderful source of information. Many companies spend large amounts of money going out and asking questions of people who are not customers and not asking the questions of the people who are. Have a good customer service operation, and the problems come to you. They tell you what's not working in your product. They tell you what they don't understand about your product. They tell you where the documentation should be better. They tell you where the product can be improved. They'll even tell you about other problems they have, which are a potential new business for you, a new set of products. You take advantage of this information and you have a better company. You have better.
So what I'm hearing you say is, if you listen to your customers well in a scientific, systematic way, you can release some of these constraints or bottlenecks or issues that cause way more problems than we even realize sometimes.
Yes. So how do you make sure your customer service is good? You don't make them wait. There are companies where if you call and they say there's a 10-minute wait or there's a half-hour wait, but if you give us your phone number and pick a time, we'll call you back. Mm-hmm. Those companies are doing it right.
Okay.
They have much happier customers, and they have much happier customer service reps, because an awful lot of people get very cranky when they've been on hold for half an hour. And sometimes they take it out on the customer service reps whose fault it is not. And then you have people quitting, and then you have to replace them, and you have to train the replacements, and you spend all sorts of money on a completely avoidable problem. Train the people well so that they understand what they can do when people call. When they understand the problems, they can understand the solutions, and they can understand, even if they don't know how to solve the problem, they know who can, and they can make the connection between the person with the problem and the person with the solution. Measure them not on the number of calls they handle, which is a recipe for unhappy customers. Measure them on customer satisfaction.
That's a brilliant point. Brilliant.
Keep good records of the complaints, because that's where that information we talked about in the last slide comes from. That's where you find the problems in your products. That's where the opportunities for improvement come from. Make sure that that information is well kept, documented, detailed, and figure out ways to make sure that management gets that information, and the product development people get that information, and the sales force gets the information. Because give a salesman a clue what problems their customers might run into, and they can head them off in the first place.
Excellent. Well said.
Used well, artificial intelligence can be your friend. Used badly, it's your enemy. There's no excuse for an idiot chatbot anymore now that we have ChatGPT. But I've dealt with idiot chatbots in Google, and they're selling artificial intelligence services to the world. It's a bad look. I've had bad experiences with Intuit. Better no chatbot at all than a bad one. But
well said.
Chatbots have their uses, and with AI, AI is going to get better, and it's going to get cheaper, and AI can do a lot of good for customer service if you have the money to invest now, or if you are prepared to wait until it gets less expensive and you can invest in it at an affordable rate, 2 years or 3 years or 4 years.
we're starting to see more and more AI specialists and some of these automated specialists come through. So that's a really interesting point.
The thing about using AI, though, is it has to know your information. You can't, ChatGPT is not an ideal tool, even if you could afford it, as a customer service chatbot for any and all companies. It has to know your products. It has to know your documentation. It has to know your org chart and who to send people to when it doesn't have the information in the system so that people can talk to the right people. It could save you a lot of money in the long run, but you have to invest a lot in the short run to get there.
Yeah, talking about AI and modern tools is a little bit like saying the internet or a computer. Like it's kind of it's what you do with it and what you wrap around it and what you leverage in it. It's not the actual resource itself. It's what you pull together with it. So I like that you brought in that conversation point and have challenged us today to really take our analysis and customer feedback and technology seriously so that we can keep our game at that level where we need to keep it. Otherwise, those hard-earned customers and clients and members and others who are stakeholders that are kind of coming in, even investors or donors, if they come in and then you just kind of let them flounder, that's something you've been trying to help us on. Recently, you've been partnering with our team to try to help us kind of find out where these bottlenecks are, where these roadblocks are, where these constraints are, where these issues are, and you have a really good way of identifying those. If you want somebody with a really, really good pair of eyes on identifying issues or problems in your business so you can just get rid of them or manage them well or adjust those issues, highly recommend connecting with Frank. And you want to reach out to him on what social media platform do you prefer, Frank?
I'm easily reached on LinkedIn. There are only 3 Piucks on LinkedIn, and 2 of them rather, and both of my relatives, me and my sister rather. And
Excellent.
And the email address is on the slide, and the QR code will take you to a booking page on my new website where you can book for half an hour and we can have a conversation.
Excellent. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you know the drill. Screenshot this. It's valuable. People pay hundreds of dollars for these consultations, and Frank's been generous here and given 30 minutes to be able to ask him questions. He'll ask you some questions to see if we can move the needle for you and remove some of these constraints, these bottlenecks, these issues that come up in your business that if you don't have a trusted voice that actually cares to help you, people will just nod and say, oh, that was good. And you won't know what's actually happening. So Frank will uncover some of that and help you with that and make the ride a little smoother for your customers, clients, donors, investors, and others. We've seen it personally. He's given us some really good insights on our particular experience as it relates to Giver Marketing Network and power partnered with others and being able to help clients as well. So thank you, Frank, for that. And Christine, do you have any questions for Frank? I'm going to pull down his contact information now. So better take a picture. 3, 2, 1.
Well, and I just put the link to connect with him on LinkedIn. So if you want to connect with Frank on LinkedIn, that's in the chat. So be sure to click on that and reach out and say, hey, Frank, let's have a conversation. One of the cool things about Frank is the idea of looking kind of at a systematic system, right? I mean, can you get from here to there, and where do you get stuck? Right. And that's such an important part of your business, right? Because a lot of times people go, I don't know why I'm stuck. Right? Half the time you are the problem, right? So, if you've got somebody who can come in with a new set of eyes and look at your processes and say, ooh, here's the problem. And what can we do to fix this? Right. Sometimes when we're in our business, we're so deep in the weeds in our own business that we don't see it clearly. So it's nice to have an expert come in. And that's where that consultant comes in to kind of give us a hand. So Frank does a great job of looking at things with the big picture and identifying some of those problems you might be running into.
Excellent.
Thank you, Christine.
Frank, is there a particular, I know that you have some background in manufacturing and some other industries. Are there any industries specifically that you can answer questions about fairly quickly? Any industries that you love to work with? Any particular groups or types of people you like to work with?
I think often software as service, customer service is not well handled. And I think often, I mean, I don't know how many times I've run into a product online where I could see 13 improvements, 5 of which would be easy. And you make 5 simple improvements, you have a better product without spending a lot of money, and you have happier customers, and you have more resources to spend money on the harder ones because you've gotten happier customers paying you more money, more of them. So that's a place where I know I can make an impact fairly easily. I certainly have manufacturing experience, and am always interested in how factories work and how those things are arranged. The scale of manufacturing and the technology intensity of manufacturing is much higher than it was 40 years ago, but the underlying problems are still very similar.
And you're applying those to other industries now too. So
yes,
interesting.
Yeah, you can look at an insurance company as an information factory, right? The information comes in, it's rearranged, it's reorganized, it's distributed, and then people get products. They are paying recurring fees to be insured. There are lots and lots of ongoing relationship businesses where the process is unnecessarily complicated.
I always like to ask Frank to help with one of our problems within our own organization. And oftentimes the language is something along the lines of, Frank, can you help us reverse engineer this? Because you have like an engineer's mind meets a business acumen that could be extremely helpful for some people. So thank you for that. And I'm going to bring your contact information back up on the screen here. Look him up. Piuck, his last name on socials, on LinkedIn specifically, and then also his website and email address are right there on the screen. Take a picture of this, take a screenshot, reach out to him now. There may be a time where he's so busy, he may not be able to spend 30 minutes with you, but he's able to do it now. And if you mention Giver, I saw you on the broadcast, or I saw you on the Giver thing, he'll certainly be able to give you some goodies there. So that'll be a good thing for you to do. Now, take the picture in 3, 2, 1. All right. Well, thank you again, Frank. Really appreciate you. We do have another presenter coming in hot. His name is Nate, and he's going to bring it today. So thank you again, Frank. Really appreciate you. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Yeah. Good work. All right. And without further ado, let's see what Nate has for us today. Here's one of the things I love to ask Nate. Nate, for the audience, how do you pronounce your last name? Because it's just such a cool last name. Like, how do you pronounce it? Unmute yourself first.
Yeah, unmute yourselves.
All right. How do you say your last name?
Saucier.
Come on, man. That's like one of the coolest last names. What's your last name, Saucier? What's up? So, well, good. You and I have known each other for quite a while now. You've helped build a website. You worked with some other pieces, gotten advice. I had a question for you even today, and you answered the question. So, especially when it comes to, I want to say the phrasing right, ADA compliant questions around websites and making sure that all folks, whether they have visual challenges, auditory challenges, other challenges, they can get to the information they need. So you have a very specific niche that I find very fascinating and helpful. You've incorporated some things into some of our conversations and the website and different things that I'm like, oh, I didn't even know I needed that. That's so cool. And now we're able to reach more people. So, and that's the idea, right? If if you're on a mission to do some good, you want to reach some more people doing that. So, Nate, people want to know, where'd you come from? Like, how did you get to do what you're doing? Like, how did you get to build these websites that are like able to be accessed by so many different people? How did you, like, what caused that?
Well, I started building websites 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So that got me into the website field. And then I worked as a speech therapist with people with disabilities. So I have a heart for people with disabilities. And then when I started my business for web development, I learned about this, accessibility challenge that people have, that, people with disabilities would not be able to access my website. And I like, oh no, I don't want that. I want everybody to be able to access my website and use it easily. Right. So then I got into that. That's how I got started.
Okay. And I know that you've had some of your own journey that's been, ups and downs of your own personal journey. Are you comfortable sharing any of that?
Sure. I retired from being a speech therapist due to a disability. So I retired early. And so I had to remake myself, do something that I, could do. And if I can sit at my computer, I can do stuff. I was working with I was working with children, some with disabilities, and you have to have high energy, and I couldn't do it.
Okay.
So anyway, so I remade myself, and now I make websites.
Come on, I love it. And it's been nothing but awesome to work with you. So, hey, let's bring up the visuals that we prepared today. And little side note, Christine, you oftentimes help our members create presentations and kind of get prepared for these kind of broadcasts, and you coordinate, but you also help a little bit with the visuals using some modern tools. Can you just give us a tip? Like there was a link I shared earlier with and I can share it again, but what is these tools coming out that help with presentations? Can you at least
there's a lot of options available nowadays, and I've been researching for a while, and I fell in love with this one where I can literally drop the outline in it and click the button, and it boop, 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 and creates all the slides for you. So you can go in and adjust, colors and shapes and that kind of stuff. But just the physical ability to be able to have it create the slides for you, multiple slides, is such a time save. It probably saves me 3 hours on every presentation by having it start with a rough draft that I can go then and alter the way I want it.
Excellent. Yeah, rough draft, and be able to use the tool of choice, whether it's Canva or something else, and be able to kind of edit it from there. It's the power of the modern era, isn't it? So really appreciate you mentioning that. Maybe pop your link in to that tool, or reach out to Christine Deane if you want to learn more about that. But hey, Nate, we're talking about increasing visibility through inclusion. Come on. All right. So what tell us a little bit more about that. That's a little bit of a teaser. Tell us more about what to expect today. What are we going to experience today?
Well, we're talking about inclusion, how it's going to benefit your business in general, inclusion. And then we're talking specifically about website accessibility to the disabled, including people with disabilities in it, being able to use your website.
Okay, let's jump in. Let's go.
Okay. Oh, okay. Whoops, sorry. Yeah, how does inclusion relate to visibility? Well, the thing is, if you have a website, or a business that is even, that includes everybody, like you have a ramp next to your stairs so people with wheelchairs can come into your building, things like that, the more inclusive you are, the more people will come to your business. And then they get excited about it, and then they, tell other people. So there's a positive association with your business when you're inclusive. And then if you're willing to receive feedback on your website or any other part of your business about its inclusivity, that's even better, because then that involves the needs of everyone. And then if you want, you can even do some market research, or maybe you have a website already built. Ask a variety of people to look at it, diverse, group of people to look at your website and say, can you use this well? whether they have a disability or not. You want them to be able to use it well, easily.
Love that. Love that. I know you've made one of the nonprofits that we worked on together. You've made that website much more accessible. So I really appreciate that. Tell us more about what's on this slide.
Thank you. So what it has to do with visibility is this: inclusivity. If you people with your regarding your website, okay, people come to your website, they want to stay on your website because it's inclusive of them. It sends a positive signal to them. It makes them feel comfortable, and if it's easy to use, they're going to stay. The opposite, is true. If it's not easy to use, they're out of there. Most of us, we've been to many websites that we just, okay, I'm not staying. That's just how it is. So what that's called is bouncing when you leave before really interacting with the website.
Mm-hmm.
So you want fewer bounces, of course, and that actually impacts your SEO, your search engine optimization, because part of the algorithm of SEO, of the search engines, is your bounce rate. So directly including more people on your website impacts your SEO. And then by impacting your SEO, that means more visitors. So, because you're ranking higher in the search engines, so more people see you. So that's increased visibility. And let's talk more about accessibility, website accessibility. Well, an accessible site is easily read. In other words, all the text is legible, which sounds easy, but it's not always. Easily navigated. That means, people can go around through your website, click on tabs, buttons. They know where they're going, and they go to a logical place where they have something that they expect. Videos need to have closed captioning, because of people with hearing impairment. And then flashing animation is good to avoid because it affects people with epilepsy. Some people with epilepsy, when they see a flashing image on the screen, it could cause them an episode. So
you're talking about when it's got like excessive like light like contrast, where it's flash, 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 like too crazy.
Yes. So we want to avoid that, or at least make a way for it to stop on your site, right?
Okay.
And then, so that's what an accessible site is basically. It's just a rough draft of it. So what does the law say? Well, the American with Disabilities Act requires all public services to be accessible. So the law says all public services have to be accessible. Well, in the courts, it's been decided that that includes websites, because there's been lots of lawsuits against businesses because their websites weren't accessible. In fact, over 8,000 web accessibility lawsuits were filed between 2017 to 2020. And the majority, small businesses. You'd think it would just be large businesses and that would be it, and we'd all be safe with small businesses. But no, it's us too.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So here's some accessibility facts. Just the number of disabled people in the world. 1.3 billion people in the world are disabled. And 90% of the websites out there are inaccessible to people with disabilities who rely on assistive technology, like a screen reader, etc. And the spending power of the disabled, 490 billion just in the US. So we don't want to miss out on that, right? So here's some more benefits. Why should I make my website accessible? Well, you get a positive association with your brand. More visitors stay on your site longer, which leads to that loyalty, which then people want to promote your business to their friends and family because they love it. They love your website. And they're really impressed that you have it accessible to them. You get a broader audience, of course, because you're including more people. And it also, you avoid lawsuits, and you also meet the needs of people who are not disabled. Like me, I always increase the font on the text on a screen if I can.
Mhm.
Because it's just easier on my eyes. My eyes are getting older, and I need bigger text. And so that's something I do, that if the website had it easily accessible for me to do that, it would be great. Make it easier for me to use that site. So, and it's not because of a disability, it's just aging.
Yep.
So also, we mentioned improved SEO. You're going to get increased sales, which is, a goal of a website, right? I mean, to get increased sales or increased customers, clients. And this is because you're getting more people to your site through SEO. You're getting more disabled people to your site who need your services. So then, you're going to have increased sales as a result. Another reason is just the right thing to do. In my opinion, it's the right thing to do, to include everybody. I don't want anybody excluded from my site. And it's a feel-good choice. You can feel good about it, And there's a tax credit. So what is a tax credit? A tax credit is taken off your taxes that you owe. Unlike when you file for taxes, your return, you file just different expenses you have, and then they take that maybe off your income, maybe. This is directly off your taxes owed. So how much can you?
That's an interesting little note there. I mean, if I were you and you're watching this today, I would take a screenshot of this screen right here because it's very interesting.
Thanks. Yeah. So you can get a lot. You can get thousands of dollars if that's what it costs to adapt your site to be accessible to the disabled. So for all those expenses related to adapting your website for the disabled, you get first you pay the first $250. You just pay that, but then after that, 50% of the cost is paid for as a rebate, is a tax credit to you. So it's basically like a rebate, and even better than a rebate because you don't have to wait for it. So after $250, then you get 50% taken off. So that's a maximum of $5,000. Well, if I was going to save $5,000, I'd definitely be filing for this.
Excellent. At least worth looking into. Talk to your tax professionals.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to folks in your world who help you with your taxes, and also just run it by Nate and see if you can make sure and adjust your website so that it can at least potentially qualify for what your tax professionals would say could really benefit you financially. And so I love this part of the conversation. I think it's very practical. I think it's very incentivized. I think it's very helpful. And like you said, to get paid to do the right thing. I mean, come on, like this is great. This is great. So thanks for mentioning this, Nate. This is very public. It's on the United States IRS website. If you're listening to this outside the United States, maybe there's a similar law in your country. But as far as those that are listening from the United States, we know for sure this is at play at the time of recording. So take a look at that, look at it more, and talk to Nate about that as well.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk briefly about implementing these inclusive practices.
Okay.
Legibility. If the text is too small, people need to be able to enlarge it. But enlarging text doesn't always work. If you ever try to pinch open larger a website on your phone and it goes off the edge, mm-hmm. Well, that's what happens if you enlarge a website, even on a desktop, mm-hmm. too big, then it's just going to go off the edge. So it needs to have a way to enlarge the text without moving those pictures off to the side or part of the text off to the side. Fonts. Have you ever seen a script font where you're like, what does that say again? It really needs to have a clear, easily read font text.
So kind of the fancier font sometimes can be a little bit of a hurdle. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, for everyone. And then contrast between the text and the background. I saw a flyer Sunday, it had a big, it had a yellow circle on it with white text on it. And I'm
Woo!
thinking, that's
Woo!
hard to read. I'm not gonna try to read it because it strain my eyes on that. So you want really good contrast. Dark on light, light on dark. Black and white works really well.
Yep.
And then navigation. You want images. You need to have this what's called an alternative text description for each image. And that's in the back end. It's not what people who visit your website see. It's for the screen readers and for the search engines, both. Look at that. So the
That's
screen
right.
readers,
It is both. I forgot about that. Yes.
yeah. And both of them. So you want it just even if nothing else for SEO, but then also for people's screen readers to be able to understand your website well. They need to know what's in that picture. Your pictures are there for a reason. They need to know why. Other things like your buttons and tabs need to be clear where they're going, so that people understand what they're going to get if they hit that button. Learn more, I see a lot of, and that's pretty vague. So we want to be specific, even if it's learn more about navigation of websites or something, yeah. So, and then headings need to have a hierarchy. So there's the biggest one at the top. That's called H1. So the biggest one at the top is the title of the page. The rest of them are smaller, but they have a hierarchy that, you want the next smallest and then the next smallest yet, and then the next smallest yet, so that it's in a hierarchy of headings that are in the importance of each heading.
Okay.
And screen readers rely on that heavily because they can read all of the H2, for example, headings, and just those, and that allows the person to essentially scan the site.
Got it.
Yeah, saves them a lot of time. So consistency just across pages, just make all the pages look like they belong to the website. The layout is similar, the picture at the top or something else at the top, logo, whatever is usually on there, make it on every web page. And we mentioned the flashing animation. That's, needs to be able to be stopped or left off completely. Unclear buttons and tabs. I put that twice because I think it was very important to me. Videos need to be captioned, all of them. And paragraphs. I see a lot of long paragraphs. And, when I see a paragraph that's more than 5 lines, I don't really want to read it. And most people don't. So 5 lines at the most on your website for a paragraph.
Shoot, man. Most of this is like best practices in building any kind of website for that matter. Like a lot of this is very, very helpful just to have a refresher on this. Say, look, let's fine tune this. Let's get this really where it needs to be, because a website that doesn't have good contrast, the navigation is unclear, or you're not sure where you're going, like any kind of things that would cause confusion. Like this is a really good list. Thank you, Nate. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. So it's as you can see, it's applicable to everyone who comes to your site.
Yep.
So we talked about the well, what can you do about accessibility? What can small businesses really do? You can get an accessibility audit. Somebody can review your site who's an expert, or you review your site according to like a checklist of something like that. So that way, to see if it's ADA compliant, you can go, there's websites that list the details of that.
And is that something you do for clients as you do an ADA review?
I do.
Okay.
And I'll come back to that in a moment. The WCAG, the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, they're the guidelines that provide the standards for web accessibility. So it's spelled out in that.
Okay.
And there are tools that can be installed in your website to help with accessibility. So you can ask me more about that if you want to contact me. I have a free gift to offer, which is, we were talking about website audits. I'm offering a free website accessibility audit. So I'll take your website and look at it and let you know exactly what needs to be done. And
Take a
it's
picture
free.
quick. Ladies and gentlemen, take a screenshot or a picture quick, because we don't know how long this page is going to be up. So make sure and grab that. And they just reach out to you and set up a time, and they can ask you questions.
Yes. Yes. This link that's in the QR code, or the link down below it that's spelled out, leads to my contact page, which then they can schedule a time to meet with me, and we can talk about what we would do.
Okay, good.
For the audit. Yeah.
And if you find problems with their website or other things, they're not going to get in trouble. They're just going to get some help, right?
Right. No, there's no trouble.
Okay. Yeah.
We're avoiding trouble.
Yeah, we're avoiding trouble. Okay, gotcha. Good. Well, hey, this is what I did personally, and I'm very thankful that I did. I reached out to Nate, we connected, we worked out something where he would be able to help us with these compliance pieces, and always improving, but there's spaces and places that you just really need to be ahead of the game. Otherwise, there's too much risk out there to eliminate communication with a really important segment of population, or in worst cases, breaking the law. So make sure and reach out to Nate so you can get into compliance as quickly as possible. It's going to make you money, so do it quickly. So that'll be a smart move for all the business owners, nonprofit leaders. A lot of the nonprofits tend to be a little bit more empathetic towards this train of thought. But the business leaders need to really pull up their britches and get some things done that is going to make sure that they're in compliance, and they're also helping their audience much better. So really appreciate your work, Nate. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
All right, take a screenshot, ladies and gentlemen. Reach out to Nate. Mention that he was on an awesome broadcast with the name Giver. He was on the Giver broadcast and on that summit, and he'll give you some goodies there, and just walk you through how to best get in compliance with what you need to do to reach more of your audience. So that'll be good. All right. Well, thank you again, Nate. We have another presenter coming right behind you, Nate. Her name is Brenda. She's amazing. She's the Soulutionist. And Christine, I got to take a break myself. So go ahead and welcome.
Absolutely.
Brenda.
I gotcha. So I am excited today. We've had so many fantastic speakers. If you haven't caught the whole show, be sure to just watch the replay so you don't miss anybody. But we're going to wrap this up with Brenda, and I can't think of a better way to end the show. So I'm going to bring you on stage with me, Brenda. Hey, Brenda.
Hey, Christine. How are you today?
Oh, I am stoked. I mean, oh my goodness. You know, I'm a big fan. The whole idea of doing business your way, and you
Absolutely.
put steps in place so that people can do it. How did you get where you are and involved to where you are right now today?
Well, it started, I'm a retired Marine with 20 years of active service, an award-winning hospital administrator. And 5 years ago, I walked away from a 23-year toxic marriage, in debt, 100 pounds overweight, and not knowing what I was going to do. And as a serial entrepreneur, I knew I could start a business. And I did that. But what happened was I became very popular, but I wasn't paid. And then Timothy Morgan and Adam Fleming introduced me to the world of marketing, and I have not looked back. Because I had all the pieces to the puzzle, but I didn't understand marketing. And once I got a clear understanding of marketing, it's been on and popping.
Well, so I love the whole idea behind doing business your way. And when you take that to a level, even with your marketing, right? What do you want to do? What makes sense for your business rather than just a cookie cutter approach? And so I love the way that you encourage people to really enjoy their business.
Yes, I do.
Well, so what are we focusing on today?
We are going to, let me see if I can get this up here. Do you have my present? Oh, there it is. Okay.
There it is.
We're going to be talking about a marketing mindset, and we're going to talk about let's break the rules, because I like frameworks and I like breaking the rules. I want everybody to go with me on a journey here today, because here's the thing. When I started, Christine, I had a fixed mindset about marketing, and I developed into a growth marketing mindset. And here's what I want people to think about. Think about a garden. Imagine a garden. There's one gardener who is a fixed mindset for marketing. They have this beautiful garden, but they only have one flower in it, and they're not willing to change anything. And if anything goes wrong, they just say the whole thing's ruined. But then there's another gardener who has a garden right next door, but they have all these different flowers inside. And if one thing doesn't go right or flowers don't bloom as planned, guess what? They take it as an opportunity to just grow another flower. No harm, no foul. So in the rules concept, what I want people to do is throw away the traditional rules of marketing, because it's not one size fit all. So I want them to start with researching by just, survey, stop the survey. And I want you to start creeping. I'm a little bit newsy, Christine. So I took the approach of the growth mindset in marketing, and I began to look at real behaviors instead of just simply doing those dry surveys and all that testing they said I had to do. Wasn't working for me. I started browsing social media, reading online reviews, and you can see I even started stalking the competition in an ethical way, of course, because I didn't want to do nothing really creepy, but I wanted to make sure I did my research, because the foundation is still the foundation. I just wanted to do it my way. And then the next thing I did was I started understanding that I had to forget personas. See, they had me all stressed out. Christine talking about I got to know where she eats, where she slept, her demographics, her psychographics, and all that other wonderful stuff that I know is important. But what began to work for me, and this I'm sure comes from my ministry background, is I began to market to people like they were my besties. What would my best friend want? They want me to talk to them in a natural way, an authentic way. They didn't want to be sold to, or what I say, I know that I think it was Rob Turley talked about the pitch dump. No, I'm talking about the pitch slap. I even wrote an article on it, LinkedIn, about it. I was tired of being pitch slapped, and I didn't want to pitch slap people. So I began to treat them like a bestie and just breaking down my audience in a way that I realized that my customer was me. She was that woman that was frustrated with the status quo. She wanted to make money and not be in the economic desert. She no longer wanted to be deprived, but she wanted to run her own business, and she wanted to run her business her way and not sacrifice her family. After that, I realized that the best thing for me to do was to leverage. I had to say no to the hustle. I was tired of being a lone wolf. I wanted to borrow somebody else's brilliance instead. And that's when I learned the power of leveraging other people's platforms. You borrow their audience, you begin to collaborate. I am a shameless collaborator. But here's the thing. I collaborate with a purpose, because if you are doing a business in a shady way, or you have deceptive business practices, baby, I'm not collaborating with you to the next, to the front door. So there's got to be somebody that is about the business of doing business, and that's truly has a servant's heart. Those are the people I look for to collaborate with. I also like to remix ideals. When I see that stuff, but I'm doing that creepy ethically, of course, I'm making sure that I'm going to remix something that's going to resonate with my audience. And then I'm going to team up with some unexpected partners. Here's the thing. I look for those people in wellness or fitness or whatever it is. Or sometimes I've even, we'll call it linked up with construction workers. You say, how do you do that? Because the business of doing business is the same foundationally. It's just finding that common ground where you can do something with somebody maybe a little bit differently than what you thought about. And plus, it's fun. And the picture I have here is a time when I collaborated with a whole bunch of people down in Atlanta at this thing called the Build Your Brand Live. And it has been amazing. And it's been a couple of years, and I'm still getting great collaborations out of that even today. I love that. The other thing I do is I like education marketing. I stopped selling. I started looking for the entertainment factor, because what I really knew is that people wanted something visually stimulating. They wanted something that, resonated with them. The kind of music, sometimes I use country music. Sometimes I use jazz, pop, rock. I've even used a little bit of heavy metal. But also not taking myself so seriously. When I first started, I thought marketing was dress right dress. That's a military term. Everything had to be lined up, side by side, perfect, and match all the frameworks that I learned in the marketing classes that didn't make any sense for me. It was like alphabet soup, you know, AID, PAS, PAS. Oh, baby, confusing for me.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got out of the marketing box and began to realize that if I would simply show up as my authentic self and have a little fun, create some skits, and have a conversation with the people that were coming to see me on the different social media platforms, I could educate and entertain in a way, and I didn't have to do a hard sell. And that was real important to me.
Mm-hmm.
Then finally, I just simply had to stay focused. You know, I've been accused of being able to plan a trip to the bathroom, and that is the truth. And that's because my military background and also working in a hospital, both of them were situations that were life and death hung in the balance. You know, if I didn't do my job, somebody died in the Marine Corps. If I didn't do my job in the hospital, somebody potentially could die there as well. So we had to have everything precept upon precept, rule upon rule. But in marketing, baby, I can do things my way, and I do that on a regular basis. I say for me, the best plan is no plan. Now, mind you, I encourage all of my clients to use content planners, to have marketing plans, map it out, plan it out. But here's what I want you to do. I want you to be Semper Gummy. Some of y'all might be too young to remember Gummy. He's always flexible. This is a childhood toy that keeps me and reminds me not to take myself too serious. And what Gumby knows is that, because he's going to be trending soon, I'm trying to make him trend again, is that when you have a marketing plan, if you are tied to that plan, you can miss out on some really good opportunities of things that's happening. And you know what? I made a mistake. I didn't even check to see what was going on right now. But okay, here's something. Unfortunately, it's a tragedy. But imagine having a business that sold fire retardant and you were not talking about the California wildfires. Imagine you had a flood prevention business and you weren't talking about the floods here in my home of North Carolina. You would be missing an opportunity, and that's just because your content plan or your marketing plan talk about Fruit Loops. That makes no sense. So have a plan, but the best plan is no plan at all, or at least a plan that allows you to remain flexible. Then what? Now here's the wrap up where I'm going to throw out a dare to everybody that's listening. I dare each and every listener to take the rules and break them. Do your research. Understand the people you're talking to. Leverage other people's audiences. Educate yourself and others. And stay focused on what's important to you. Run your business according to your core values and how you say you want to live. If it is important for you to profit, but not sacrifice your family in the process, then you're definitely going to have to break a few rules. And here are some of the rules that I break. See, I take off every other month. This is my off month. But in my off month, I do appear on podcasts and things, but my schedule is very limited. I don't take calls on the weekends. At 5:01 every Friday, computer goes off and it doesn't come back on again until 7 a.m. on Monday. Now, some people say, Brenda, you can't do that. Well, just check this. When's the last time you went to a bank that had hours of 9 to 5 and you showed up at 5:01 and they let you in and get some money? No, they told you to come back the next day. On Friday, do they not close at 5? And you cannot come back until 9 on Monday? So guess what? The Soulutionist can close also. There was a time, Christine, when I would take calls all day and night because I have an international community that I serve. I wasn't getting any sleep. And people in Japan, Dubai, the UK, Buenos Aires, they didn't care. They wanted their needs met. But once I set clear parameters and boundaries, they began to work within those boundaries when I kept them. I also say pick a rule. Just pick one rule that you've been itching to break and break it and have fun doing it. And then share the results of the rules that you broke. What happened when you actually set clear working hours? When you set a new boundary, or when you tried a new campaign that everybody said, no, that's not going to work, but you did it anyway. Because what I want to remind everybody that if you can dream it, you can do it. I want people to dream big and then dream bigger than that. And above all, I want them to have some fun. because marketing to me is a lot of fun. When I look in my marketing garden, I see all the colors, all the opportunities to get out there and just do something out of the box. And one way I'm doing that, coming up soon, I'm going to be doing some things on my YouTube channel where I'm going to be diagnosing people's business problems and then solving them. And we're going to have a blast and make it a lot of fun. And I'm looking forward to doing that. And that's what I mean by breaking the rules. And as you can see, I'm pretty passionate about it because I want everybody to have as much fun with marketing as I do. And I dare them to do it.
Oh, I love the attitude, Brenda. I really do. You know, one of the reasons I'm a huge fan, doing business your way and having fun, right? There's no reason to not be authentic, right? If you're yourself and you're doing what you love, why not share that, right? Why not go out there and interact with people on that kind of level? And I think there's a certain amount of attraction to that, right? Do you find that it helps attract your tribe?
It does attract my tribe because the women that I come across, a lot of them, they already have the pieces to the puzzle, Christine. What they don't have is a clear strategy, a simple structure or system that allows them to make their businesses profitable and then not sacrifice their family life. I have one lady I work with. I asked her, I want you to tell me what your perfect day will be like. And I want you to talk to me about it from the time you open your eyes. I love the perfect day exercise. See, because for me, my perfect day is when I wake up, the first thing I do is, God, I thank you. I say my prayers. I give my 10 gratitudes. And then I get up, sit on the side of the bed. I drink my bottle of water, 16 ounces. And then I'm off to the races. I'm in the bathroom putting on my PT gear. Then I go do my workout. Once I'm done that, I do my shower. Then I'm down here checking my emails and doing all the things like that. And then I have a whole schedule throughout the day. My perfect day ends no later than 3 p.m. daily. And that's a choice. People say you can't. Yes, we can. But so many of us are so busy being busy that we're really not doing nothing. I asked are you doing any income producing activities? Where's your next sale coming from? Are you tracking your KPIs, your key performance indexes? And also, are you trying to do everything in one day as opposed to spreading the love? Actually, Monday is marketing for me. Tuesday is making sure I do connections and client calls. Wednesday is all about wellness and making sure that I tapped into what it is I need to get done because it's midweek. Now I'm looking back and looking forward. Thursday is always a gratitude day for me because that's Thankful Thursday. And that is when I take time to do videos, recordings, things of that nature. And then Friday is Face It Friday. That's where I'm facing anything that I didn't do all week long that I knew I should have done. Because at 5:01, guess what? Come hell or high water, that computer is going off. So
I bet that probably helps you to be very intentional with your time and with your efforts.
And you know what's great about that? That's my day. But now I have another client that ain't her day. Her day doesn't even start till 9 a.m. because she's not a morning person. And I said, well, if you know that, why are you trying to get up with me at 5:15? Get up at 9 a.m., ship your day. She's an empty nester. Who you trying to impress? That's why I say the best part of doing business your way is you get to decide. And guess what? She actually started seeing a better outcome. Her clients talk about how much nicer she was. Because imagine talking to a person that's not a morning person first thing in the morning and they haven't even had their cup of coffee. It ain't pretty.
No, that sounds pretty bad.
Pretty bad.
But when you start doing business your way, right, and you start approaching your marketing and your business in a way that it's in alignment with you and your values, I can see that. That's a game changer.
It's a big game changer. And one thing I tell people, I ask all my clients to, I don't care about what religion they are, but I do say you should have a spiritual practice that allows you to have a strong set of core values so that you're coming from a place of knowing what you will and won't do so that you can walk and live in integrity and do your business in integrity as well. Because too many of us are lying to us. See, I was a bald-faced willful liar. I was telling myself I had a business when in fact I had a hobby. So you have a hobby when you can't tell people your break-even point, your churn rate, as we were seeing earlier when Rob and Tim and all of them were telling us, and and Jennifer, love Jennifer, making connections. When all of them were talking to us about the different metrics that they use in their businesses, I could have told you none of that stuff a couple of years back, because I was doing what a lot of entrepreneurs do. I was showing up, I was throwing spaghetti on the wall with no idea how much I was spending on advertising, how much I was spending on software. I knew about break-even points, but I was too busy to do the math. That mistake cost me a lot of money. That's why marketing is so important, because when you have a clear marketing plan, it's a roadmap to success. But the thing about it, it's a living, breathing document that can give you a lot of direction, and you can have a lot of fun with it if you don't take yourself and it too seriously, but serious enough to be that you're about your money and you're about your plan, but you do it your way.
Brenda, you're such an encourager in people who meet with you and don't get a little bit of electricity that they can use for their day. That means they got their connections all wrong, or something's happening. So if you want some electricity, ladies and gentlemen, especially if you're a solopreneur, a solo practitioner, a sole proprietor, and you're a female who wants to rock it and take it to another level, reach out to Brenda right away. Look up Brenda the Solutionist, and you'll be able to find her online in multiple places, kind of leveraging her branded name there. So yeah, there you go. Take a screenshot, take a picture, do whatever it takes to set up a time with Brenda, and you won't regret it. I know that we've talked many times, connected on many levels, worked together on different levels, and I always appreciate the fire, the determination to go to that next place. She's almost like a personal trainer for your business. And I would definitely put her in that category as somebody who inspires while they train. And there's different gifts, different mixes that we all have. And Brenda comes with an element of faith. She comes with an element of business acumen. And she's also put into practice what she teaches. So she's not a person that will tell you to do one thing, but she really doesn't do much of it at all. Like, she's at least tried it. She knows the results of it. She may not be perfect at it, but she knows how to walk you through the first few steps of getting going on that. And I really find that to be valuable in today's world of people who are kind of faking it till you make it, or gurus that don't have your best interests at heart. And Brenda's really earned her stripes. So she's somebody that you want to talk to if you're wanting to go to that next level. Okay. All right. Well, take that picture, reach out to Brenda, and you won't regret it. You'll be blessed. So that'll be good.
Yeah, I just dropped in the chat is the link to connect with her on LinkedIn. So reach out and connect. And it says that you've got to claim your free ebook. What's that about, Brenda?
It is the Zero Budget Big Impact, because I'm all about the freemium. I think that when you're first starting out, or even if you've been here for a while, knowing the things that you can use that are low cost or no cost can be a game changer, and it's all quality stuff. So I got 8 tips, online tips that people can use for marketing that I think they'll be pretty surprised of. Some of them they probably know, some they don't, but I think they'll have fun trying them.
Oh, how'd you get bit.ly/0budget8? That's a good one.
Yeah, I just typed it in.
Okay, all caps. all caps. bit.ly/0budget8. The number 8. So
yeah, little tip, Bitly is case sensitive. So keep that in mind whenever you're doing a Bitly link. Copy it exactly the way that it is.
All right. Well, good. Hey, Brenda, thank you for stopping in.
I'm glad y'all said that to me, because I think I did this here. It's actually little zeros. So tire both ways. Have fun. See, that's a marketing error right there. I learned something new.
All right. Lowercase. Try lowercase.
One doesn't work, try the other.
See what happens. All right.
Well, that is the right word.
Yeah, it's the right word. All right. Well, reach out to Brenda, ask her for that link and that free ebook if you can't get it for some reason. But make sure and connect with her on some level and say, hey, we saw you on that broadcast. Can you light me up with some electricity? And she'll do it. Okay. All right. Well, thanks, Brenda. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Well, so
Christine,
We had a
Let's go.
lot of speakers today. My goodness, can you believe how much marketing brilliance was in the house today?
Yep. Hey, do we have time for me to go through the blueprint really quick?
I think so. And plus, we have to announce our grand prize winner. We have a couple of marketers that have contributed towards that that big gift for one winner. So I put it in one of those little spinny wheels, people that had registered. So the advantage to registering for our event is you can be part of this grand prize.
Okay.
So we have a winner for that. But yeah, let's do the blueprint. We'll tell them about the winner in a minute.
Okay, I'm going to do the fastest version of the blueprint of all time. You've been challenging me to do this more quickly, more succinctly. And so we're going to do that right now so that you can get an idea of kind of the ethos or the pillars or the pieces of the marketing mindset that we take when we're helping our members, when they get certified to become certified members of the Giver Marketing Network. They're all kind of following a version of this track. And so we want to encourage you to pay close attention to this overview of the Giver Marketing Blueprint. I want to make sure that I do it properly. So I'm going to click on share screen. I'm going to do it that way this time, Christine. So that'll be good. All right, here we go. So the Giver Marketing Blueprint is something that was born out of fairly common phrases that are misunderstood: branding, visibility, promotion, and nurturing. And can you see the screen?
I can see the screen. Are you sharing? Are you doing the presentation mode now?
Yeah, I just want to make sure.
Now it says loading. There we go.
I want to make sure that it's coming up properly for everybody. So we'll go through this now, but ultimately, when it comes down to it, when you think about your marketing, you want to make sure and look at branding, visibility, promotion, and nurturing in that order. So we're going to jump into that. This is more than just a tactic to generate leads. This is an actual marketing strategy that includes some basics that you want to get really brilliant at. Okay, so I'm a coach. Christine is a coach. We oftentimes coach clients together, even and other team members, and helping them radically improve their ROI, return on investment. We do that by introducing our team members to projects and having lots of fun doing that. And we are the highest rated reviewed network of marketing professionals, communication, media, PR professionals on the planet. We see great results from our clients. Some are generating millions more than they were in the past. And our core values are what you saw today from our presenters. They're high collaborators. They love to measure results, bring high levels of efficiency, attitude, a good attitude, transparency, and energy level, like you saw from Brenda just a minute ago. Who benefits from this? It's you, because you're hungry, you're coachable, you're here, you're wanting to learn, you're wanting to grow, you're in that abundance mindset, but maybe you have some frustrations with some of your marketing efforts. So we're going to do a flyover of the non-negotiables of marketing, okay? You want good information so you can apply it to your business. And there are people like Bob Berg who have paved the way. And so we want to kind of give a nod to him for his work in the space of relationship marketing, networking, connecting, sales, those kind of things, and kind of recommend his resources as well. The Go Giver is a really good resource. So why the blueprint? Like, where did this come from? After coaching, collaborating with thousands of causes and companies over the last decade, a pattern started emerging. Like if you had an organization that dialed in your branding and you had a good level of visibility and promotion was really a good focus with ROI as a metric, and you were able to nurture your customers, your clients, your donors, your investors, then you saw an extraordinary amount of growth, oftentimes doubling, tripling your revenue if you follow these steps, okay, and evaluate these pieces. Branding, visibility, promotion, nurturing, in that order is something to consider. And when we're defining marketing, we like to say it this way: marketing is pre-sales communication. It's not manipulation. It's not coercion, and it's a negative sense of the term. It's not something that you want to avoid. It's something that you want to set the stage for success. Because when somebody purchases something from you, a product or a service, they're looking for mutual benefit. So all you're doing is, at its core level, when you're marketing, is communicating about your product or service before the sale happens. Okay, marketing is a funnel that drops right into the sales experience. You're tracking conversations, appointments, clicks, comments. There's all sorts of ways to track your conversions in marketing, but ultimately it does lead to some kind of mutual exchange, aka a sale or a transaction. Okay, we like to think of marketing as something you do to get to the end, to the red zone, and sale is something you do to make sure and get a touchdown if you're an American football fan. Prospecting is technically marketing, not sales. Sales in a general sense is like a whole buyer's journey, but when we're talking about marketing and sales here, we're talking about everything that happens before the commitment, and the commitment itself is the sales process that we're talking about. Okay, so this blueprint includes branding, visibility, promotion, and nurturing, and again, in that order. This is the same process that is described in the book that's going to be published here shortly. Reach out to me if you'd like a free copy of that. Just say, hey, I saw you on the broadcast. I'd like a copy of your book that talks about branding, visibility, promotion, and nurturing, and I'll make sure and get that to you. You can find me on LinkedIn or reach out to me on this channel, message me on social media channels of all kinds, okay? Who is your who? This is the phrase that Pedro Adayo is famous for, and attributed to is this phrase, to find your ideal customer, okay? If you know who that is, if you have a product or service that the market, it says, I'm hungry for it, it solves a problem for me, then you have a viable product or service. If you don't know who that is, or who will consume your product or service, or your the experience that you're offering, then that needs to be identified, okay? If not, then everything else we're about to talk about will not make sense. So talk to Christine or somebody else about identifying who your target market is, who you're actually trying to communicate with, and who you're trying to serve. But once that's established, branding. Make sure the imagery, the language, the messaging that you're putting out to the world is clear on what you're trying to offer. An example of that would be, hey, when we're trying to put dream teams together for causes and companies doing good in the world, we're helping them with their marketing, their communication, their media, their PR. That is who we're called to serve. We do it through team dynamics that is above and beyond what you will find with almost any other organization. So if you reach out to any one of us, we have a team ready for you to deploy in your business. Whether you're a small business or a medium-sized business, we can help you, okay? Our brand is we're the good guys and gals in the marketing space, okay? We're marketing for good. And our language is all about causes and companies doing some kind of positive or philanthropic work in the world. And they can do that through their products or services. Once you establish a brand that is really dialed in, you can expect a tremendous increase in your revenue, okay? One of the best definitions of branding I've ever seen is your brand represents the sum total of experiences found in the marketplace. This equates to how you've carved your reputation. I heard one other person say, it's what people say about you when you're not in the room. It's your reputation. And so the language, the imagery, the feeling people get when they're experiencing your product, service, company, or organization is really what you want to evaluate at this level. It's the foundation. We're working with one company that is an 8-figure business, and we're trying to help them get to 9 figures. And they're really close. And so we're going to try to push them right over that line. And we're really evaluating what we consider the kind of the soil of their of their company, the foundation, the very pieces and parts the roots will go into, the nutrients, if you will, of that brand. When you're talking about branding, you want to evaluate: are we known for bringing clarity, creativity, consistency? What's our superpower when it comes to our personality as a company? And this is all part of your brand. So to some degree, what you're seeing on the screen right now is a personality test for your organization. Sensory branding is something you want to consider as a bit of a checklist. Like, are we evaluating the sights, the sounds, the smells, the taste, the touch, everything that happens as it relates to humans interacting with our brand? How important is it? Is it at a good high level? Even companies that are online are selling online services or products that can come through online means. They still have in-person events. They still have in-person networking. They still have times when they are in a room with other human beings. So you want to evaluate the 5 senses as much as possible. For those online businesses, sight and sound is so important. So you want to evaluate that best you can. In today's modern era, if you're not jumping on a broadcast like this or working with other video production teams to be able to get your message out there, you're getting left behind. We're coming to a place where if you don't have video representing your brand, you're so far behind that we're going to need to catch you up so that you can start leveraging that as just a baseline, so that some other things coming down the pipeline like AI and other technologies, augmented reality, virtual reality, are going to start coming in the next 10 to 20 years. So you're going to want to have video content already in the pipeline. Otherwise, your brand will suffer tremendously. So we're almost at that place where if you don't start soon, you're gonna have some issues. It's gonna take quite a bit to catch you up. Okay. What about authority branding? Like Christine talked about collaboration with others. If you partner and have these partnerships with others that you find to be a good match, there's good alignment, then your brand will benefit tremendously from that as well. So that's another clue around branding to make sure that you're dialed in. All right, last but not least, tell your origin story. You'll notice that every one of our team members who came on and presented today shared a little bit of their background, their origin story. For me, I was a nonprofit leader, ended up buying, selling, building businesses along the way. And then about 10 years ago, I went through a midlife reset and had to reevaluate how I wanted to serve the communities that I was involved with. And I found that marketing and communications were part of my superpowers, as well as team building and community building as well. So I ended up starting a community that helped marketing professionals collaborate, build dream teams for their clients. And now we have the Giver Marketing Network. So it's my privilege to serve causes and companies doing good in the world through a community of marketing, communication, media, and professionals that can serve you at a very reasonable price and create extraordinary results because of how they collaborate. It's our superpower. It's the way we work best. All right, so your branding micro assignments, should you choose to accept it. The 1-minute intro video talks about your background, your aha moment, and why and how you help your who. Okay, everything we just talked about, kind of we pull it all into a little origin story that represents your brand, your company, your cause, your organization, and we want you to have that origin story in your back pocket at all times, ready to go. If you're on a podcast, a broadcast, if you're in an interview with a potential power partner or client or even team members, you want to be able to share your origin story so everybody knows that narrative as you go into the next part of that conversation. It's so powerful for internal use and external use that we find the origin story to be the best use of 90 seconds on the planet. So post that in our Facebook group. go to givermarketing.com/group or search Giver Marketing Network in Facebook, and you'll find our group that you can post your origin story in. Plus, people might want to know more about your business if you do it really well. Okay. So again, it's your background with a deep aha moment, why and how you help your who, and then your story starts becoming intriguing, and people will ask you more about what you do. Okay. Remember, why and how you help your people. All right. So the blueprint includes branding, visibility, promotion, nurturing. We just covered branding, and I'm going to quickly go through the other 3 pieces, and then we'll wrap up today. This is a way to reach out to me if you want to set an appointment, talk more about either joining the Giver Marketing Network. If you're a professional in the marketing, communication, media space, we can interview you and see if you're a good fit. It's invite only, and it's by interview only. Okay, so we welcome those to reach out and see if you're a good fit for that. Those who would like to see a dream team built for their company so they can take marketing to another level, reach out to one of our members, myself included, and we'll make sure and build a dream team for you. Okay. All right, visibility. What is visibility? Well, we talked about search engine optimization earlier. We talked about a lot of these other pieces that help people find you, making sure you're not the best kept secret in your industry or in your region. That's what visibility is. Okay, so we want to make sure that when people are searching for you, either physically or online, that they find you. You're easily able to be located. And if you take some of the tips you learned today around websites and Google Business Profile and social media channels, and really grab that real estate, and you should be found fairly easily. We have a tool we call it our directory tool, but it's a visibility tool essentially. Givermarketing.com/visibility will allow you to take an assessment, no cost to the assessment, to be able to see if you are actually online in a meaningful and a consistent way. Okay, so again, givermarketing.com, our website, / the word visibility. 4 eyes in visibility. Can you believe it? 9 out of 10 people go online before making a buying decision. So make sure that what you have online is actually consistent and accurate. And that tool will help you do that, and it will make you money. Okay. What you're trying for is a 0 error rate on that tool. Another tool that we found super interesting is you can find it at givermarketing.com/gbox. The letter G, the word box. Our website /gbox, and it allows for people to give you reviews quickly and easily online. Okay, so that's a fun tool for you to play with. It's a DIY. You can do it yourself. And while we're here, I'm going to ask that if you're watching this and you found this information, the previous parts of our summit to be valuable to you, go to givermarketing.com/kindwords and leave some nice words for us online. We are the highest rated reviewed network of our kind because people tend to really value what we bring, and they do express kind words on Google and other places. So if you go to our website /kindwords, you'll be able to say a few phrases that will help us with the search engine for our brand and our community. And we really appreciate it if you would take some time to do that. givermarketing.com/kindwords. All right. And if I'm talking too fast, that's okay. You can always pause this, rewind it later. If you're watching this live, you can always watch the recording. We just want to be able to get you the information as quickly as possible. Okay. This is for you. This is so you can take your game to another level this year and the year to come. Okay. All right. So not only online visibility, but offline visibility too. If you have a vehicle or a store location or an office location or a space that you can rent, make sure the signage is clear. Make sure you have the test around the 5 senses, and make sure it's inviting for people. If you're going to meet at a third space, like a coffee shop or a restaurant, make sure it has some really good vibes that connect with your brand. It makes sense for you. It's high quality food and refreshments, and It's kept well. Make sure that your visibility is easy and it makes sense to who you are and what your brand is. Okay. All right. So your micro assignment, should you choose to accept the challenge, is to go to givermarketing.com/visibility and fill out the assessment, see what you get, and post a screenshot or a link that it will provide for you by filling out that assessment of how visible you are to your audience, okay? And how accurate that information is to your audience. Google will penalize you if your information is inconsistent, inaccurate, and if it doesn't make sense online, okay? So here we are, halfway through the Giver Marketing Blueprint. Are we okay? Or do we need to take a deep breath? I think so.
You're running fast, but there's the foundation. I mean, if you're going to go over that in a half hour, how in the world can you even try, right?
One of those things where, Christine, you and I have gone over this so many times with clients, with each other, with team members, with others. It's almost like if we don't get these things right, why do the other things?
Exactly. Like one of the speakers we had today was talking about doing things in order, right? These are the basics. If you don't get good at the basics, then how are you going to do the advanced stuff? It doesn't do any good.
Yep. And I mean, we're taking $100 million companies through this same process. So it doesn't matter where you are in business, what stage you are in business. Get the brilliant at the basics, and this is the basic. Promotion matters, right, Christine? So we want to make sure we're not a spam. We're not taking a spam approach, but we're taking a classy approach. And so we do recommend thinking through things in a very clean and clear way. Like, for example, when you're promoting something, either through an ad or a special or an outreach effort of some kind, just inform, bring a call to action, and engage with the audience that tends to resonate with that outreach, with that promotion, with that advertisement. And so most people think, when they think marketing, they think ads. But quite frankly, it's much more than that. Ads is it's the fun part where you can track it very easily. But everything else can be tracked. And when it comes to promotion or advertising of some kind, if you inform with clarity, with a good messaging, give a call to action that makes sense, it's very simple, it's not too complex, and then you engage with your audience well, you should be head and shoulders above the rest. Like, you should be shining through pretty well if you just do those three basic things when you're putting ads together. Another thing to think about is, as you're creating these series of experiments, these advertisements, these promotions, these outreach efforts, some will talk about outbound and inbound marketing. When you're doing this, look at tracking a handful of really basic things. One is referrals. Without referrals, you're not a healthy business. Like, I can't think of an example where you're a healthy business but you don't have referrals. In fact, somebody type referrals in the comment, in the chat box, in the wherever you're watching this broadcast. Because without referrals, there's a problem. Like, you got a big problem in your organization. That goes for nonprofits, it goes for for-profits, it goes for every kind of business. If you don't have some variation of some version of a referral going on, you are unhealthy as a business. And you can take referrals to a whole nother level. Events, print, online, some kind of audio experience, some kind of television or video experience. And if you want an easy way to remember that, we call this the report method, okay? All right, I want to make sure that I'm clicking the right buttons here. For sake of time, I'm going to go through this very quickly, but you do want to budget for referrals and your referral systems. That includes software, it includes different types of activities within your company or organization that generates consistent, meaningful, and valuable referrals. Events, you want to offer high value, get contact information, of course, follow up quickly, online and offline events, by the way. Print is not dead. It's just you have to be really strategic with how you use it, and it can be extremely profitable if you do it right. I'm working with a company right now. They'll send out like calendars and things like that, and they'll make hundreds of thousands of dollars doing that. Message me and I'll explain more about that later. Online, of course, digital ads, different types of social media posts, messaging, email campaigns. But again, no spam. We want to have it segmented like Rob Turley was talking about earlier. We want to make sure and do this with class and with precision and with wisdom. Radio/podcast, any kind of audio experience. Actually, this is becoming more of a thing, not less of a thing. So anything to do with audio, you want to pay close attention to. Bring high energy. Try for interviews. Make sure and get that long form content, get the recordings, get the files. Same with television and video, but make sure and tell your story. And you should be good to go. Include your call to action. Earlier, I just shared how to get a hold of me. I'm going to encourage you to look me up on LinkedIn if you want to have more conversations about this. Okay. Post an ad. This is your micro assignment. Okay. Post an ad in our Facebook group. We just want to hear one of your specials, one of your advertisements, one of your promotions. We're good with promotions in our Facebook group because we're a marketing related group. Okay. So go to givermarketing.com/group and post something that you're proud of. I've seen people post podcasts. I've seen people post videos. I've seen people post business cards, anything that you would see in print. I've seen people post their referral links. I've seen anything that would be considered a promotion. We want to evaluate that and give you feedback on that, okay, in our Facebook group. All right, last piece, buckle up. By the way, this piece was added because clients asked for it. And it's basically your post-sale or right up to the sale communication and marketing efforts. Okay, so you want to have an extraordinary follow-up system with your prospects, and you also want to have a post-sale experience as well. But let's talk about the follow-up system. You want to have 7 marketing moments. Okay, you want to make sure that you know the numbers, okay? So after a minimum of 5 trust-building interactions is when you should expect those sales to start going through the roof, okay? If you stop at 2 or 3, you're going to be an average revenue-generating machine at best.
Well, and I like the way you point out 5 trust-building interactions, not 5 spam. There's a difference.
No, do not throw. In fact, try to use different channels. Try to get creative with it. Yeah, good point, Christine, because if you send 5 emails in 5 days and you're expecting tremendous results, we're not in that era anymore. That's not where we are. What you want is maybe an email and a social media connect, and then an interaction that includes maybe some kind of appointment set up with a Zoom chat or a phone call, or depending on what industry you're in, you're going to need to get creative with several channels. They call it an omni-channel approach, but if you get 5 trust-building interactions happening in a short period of time with class, you're going to do really well. Introduction is number 1. Make sure that when you make an introduction that you're not selling anything too quickly. You're telling the narrative. You're sharing the story. Get their contact information, and if you don't get it all, that's okay. There's always ways to find it. But just make sure that keep that top of mind that you're not selling in the first interaction. You're earning the right to have a sales conversation. You're earning the right to have a transaction, a mutually beneficial transaction. But oftentimes your first interaction, you have not earned that right. So don't even try in general to do that. Okay. Wait for the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th interaction before you ask for the commitment. All right. A brief email, great connecting, ask a question, say phrases like that. Give them an easy call to action. It could be as simple as, hey, here's a way to connect on LinkedIn. Ping me when you get there. Or I sent you a connection request. Please accept that. It's just a very simple call to action. at the bottom of an email, or the question itself can be a call to action. Hey, curious, you said something at this event. I want to know more about that. Can you share that with me? Those are calls to action. Those are questions that lead to an ongoing next step or dialogue at the very least. Social media interactions, when you meet somebody, either online or in person, find a way to connect on their favorite social platform. Until you hit your limits, try to leverage every one of those. I know for LinkedIn, it's at the time of this recording, it's 30,000 connections. So find a way to connect with people that you meet in person or online, because people do business with people. Okay. Number 4, give something they value. It's a keyword they. As you underline keywords, I think they is a good one to go with. So if they value something and you know it, give it to them, gift it to them. You don't have to give them the whole farm. You just need to give them something they find valuable. Okay, could be small, could be medium, something related to your service, something unrelated to or indirectly related to your service or product. But give them something that they'll remember you, and they'll find an affinity towards you based on your gift, your generosity towards them. It could be a referral. It could be an invite to an event, which we'll talk about in a second. It could be a physical gift that they mentioned that they were interested in. It could be some one of your services you would normally charge a small fee for, but you decided you wanted to bless them with it. But make sure it's strategic. This is not random. These are not random acts of kindness, right, Christine? They're strategic gifts.
It's something that they'll like. One of my favorites is I had a client send a tiara. So, for a diva, that was perfect. They will always be remembered in my mind.
That's right. We had a member send me some really interesting popcorn one time, and others are sending birthday cards and gifts. And I just find it helpful when I receive them and we send them. Christine, that's a really good example, actually. Now you're going to get a bunch of tiaras in the mail. Watch. It'll be fun. All right, number 5, invite people somewhere. Sporting events, affinity groups, business groups, special things that you're going to be at. If your keynote.
Never go anywhere alone.
There you go. That's a great phrase.
Problem solved.
Try not to go places alone. That's really good. Personal notes. Hey, don't forget about snail mail, little postcards, text messages, social media messages. It doesn't always have to be a part of a campaign. It can be, but it doesn't always have to be. So if you have a list of like top 50 or top 100 that you want to make sure and stay top of mind with, create a system around it. Every Monday I send it, I send messages to my top 100 or something like that, but make it personal, genuine, authentic, because you actually want to do business with them. You want to power partner up with them in some way, create those strategic partners or channel partners. Super powerful when you do that fairly consistently. Phone calls. Hey, there's nothing wrong with a quick 10-minute phone call. We do a training on that. If you want to know more about that, let me know. I've probably done 4,000 or 5,000 10-minute phone calls in the last few years, and I'm finding that they're probably the most efficient, effective ways to get to know somebody, swap stories, find possibilities very quickly. You don't have to set up a 90-minute Zoom chat just to get to know somebody. You can do that in 15 minutes, see if there's alignment. Don't leave long voicemails. Don't dial for dollars and hope that they answer the phone. Those days are over. With rare exception, those days are over. So we want to definitely set appointments, have short phone calls, don't leave long voicemails. I had one client I was working with. They're an office of like a $5 billion company. And one of the people stood up and said, or raised their hand and said, hey, if I don't want people to call me back, I just leave them a long voicemail. And that was pretty much the day I knew that long voicemails were no longer going to be helpful. Unless it's like a family member or something, I would not leave a long voicemail. Okay. All right. Well, your nurturing micro assignment, should you choose to accept it, is post your nurturing touch points. whether it's 3 or 5 or 7, a handful of touch points in the Facebook group. givermarketing.com/group will get you there, or you can search Giver Marketing Network on Facebook in the groups section. Okay. And that's it. That's what I have for us today, Christine. We got to move at the speed of trust, but here's your micro assignments. And we highly recommend you take those seriously because they will make you money short term and long term. And that's it. Did I do good?
That's a wrap. I'm impressed. Yeah. You narrowed it down to some of the basics that you really do need. Good job.
Thanks, Christine. I appreciate it. Well, hey, we had some fun today. Who won our grand prize?
Yeah, well, so, we've got all sorts of goodies. And so I'd like to point out that if you remember, Joel Snyder did a presentation earlier, and he offering a free press release to help you dominate your search results. So that's kind of cool. Nate Saucier, right, is offering a free website checklist to the grand prize winner. And then I'm going to offer them a opportunity to create a brand voice that you can then use in whatever your AI program of preference is. Okay, and brand voice is really important. Brenda, the Soulutionist, is offering a 1-hour strategy session. And this lucky winner.
That's worth a lot.
They're going to get, oh my goodness. This grand prize winner is going to be so spoiled. That's the way we like it. Well, so our winner, I put everybody who registered in the little spinning dial and clicked the button, and it came up with Steve Stump from Texas. He's an insurance agent with Insure Me Steve. So Steve, I will be reaching out to you. Hopefully you'll catch this. And we're going to get you together with all your winnings.
It's like a virtual gift basket for Steve. Hey, if you know Steve, light him up and say, hey, Steve, did you know you won? Hey, Steve, did you know you won? Go find him and light him up if you know him. And I know Christine's going to reach out to him too. But,
absolutely.
Hey, that was a fun summit, Christine. This is good. And for those who are out there that would like to give some suggestions, some ideas, some thoughts, we'd love to hear from you on what you took away, what you're going to put into action this month, like right now, like at the time of this recording, or when you're watching the broadcast. What are you going to do right now based on what you just experienced on this summit, whether you saw one person present or you saw all dozen of us present? What are you going to do? What is your action item? Because information is not helpful without application, ladies and gentlemen. We have to get you moving. And that's why we're here, is to encourage you. You can do it. You can start with 1 action item, 2 action items, get them done. And for bonus points, you can go into a 3rd action item. But ultimately, we just want to encourage you. Like, you can make more impact and more income at the same time. We're here for you. We're here to help you. And if you want a dream team put together, talk to Christine Deane. She'll put one together for you. Talk to myself. Talk to some of the presenters today. They all know how to build little dream teams for your organization to take you to that next level. And if you resonated with somebody and their personality and their style and their skill set and their background and their story and really their brand, if you resonated with them, reach out to them first. Say, hey, can you build me a dream team from the Giver Marketing Network? Can you just build something for me? Just do it for me. And they'll help you do that. Whatever budget you have, they know where to start, and then just grow incrementally. In a perfect world, the marketing efforts end up pouring right back into an ATM machine that you can just say, hey, okay, let's push that button. And then it just produces more income so you can do more good in the world, which most of our clients end up doing. So,
and I'm also going to challenge everybody go ahead and mark your calendar right now for January. The 2nd Tuesday is when we do our marketing summit every year. So make sure you put that on the calendar. Save the date. I know it's that fantastic. You have to save it a year in advance. I'm just saying.
2nd Tuesday in January. I wonder what day it's going to be on in the years to come. But you'll have to look at that yourself. But 2nd Tuesday in January. Great call out, Christine. We are here every Tuesday, usually in the same channel. So you'll be able to see us here next Tuesday for our weekly broadcast. But it's just a tiny broadcast. It's like an hour long. You're going to hear from other team members, maybe some of the ones you saw on the summit, maybe some different faces and voices. But we're here to help you along the journey. But then we just celebrate the second Tuesday of every January. So God bless you guys. Good job, Christine. Woohoo! Give it up to Christine Deane. Good job. Awesome.